February meeting of the Anderson County Board of Commissioners. We've got a packed agenda for the 6 o'clock agenda, so we're just going to jump right in and get started. So at first, we're going to have a presentation from Tina Targonsky. She is the reigning Ms. Clinton with the Ms. Tennessee organization.
Thank you very much. I just want to start by thanking Commissioner Anderson for inviting me here to speak today, and Commissioners Palmer and Foster for taking care of my neighborhood. And thank you all for your service to our county. I am Tina Targonsky, and I was invited here to speak regarding the Mrs. Tennessee and the Mrs. Clinton title to go over what my role is. Commissioner Anderson thought that it would be an interesting topic to bring to the community since I've been wearing my title sash in most of my community events lately. I think most people don't realize that there are pageants for soccer moms out there. I certainly didn't know, but I also don't typically compete in pageants, so I didn't know a lot about pageants anyway. So a little background about me. I'm an Army National Guard veteran, and I'm a former police officer. And as a side note, I was recruited by a young and eager Sergeant Scott Nation 25 years ago. I currently work as a hotel manager in downtown Knoxville. My husband, son, and I have lived in Clinton for 14 years. And just to add in a proud mom moment, if you ever attended a Clinton high school football game from 21 to 24, my son was leading the marching band out onto the field. So after he graduated high school, I discovered that I had all this free time that I didn't have before. And I started researching different ways to fill that time, and I found the Mrs. America system. It was a great way to combine my love of community involvement and volunteerism, and to meet a new group of women to befriend, now that I didn't have my regular group of school moms to socialize with. I contacted the pageant director, who told me that neither Clinton nor Anderson County had ever had a pageant contestant in the history of almost 50 years, and I thought that was unacceptable, so I volunteered to represent our town. Sharing my love of Clinton to the whole state and potentially the whole country is something that I'm very excited for. If I do win in April, I advance to the Mrs. America contest. The Mrs. America pageant is the longest standing pageant in the history for married women. It was originally established in 1938 as the Mrs. American pageant. It was created to honor married women throughout the country. Contestants representing all 50 states, including DC, compete in the pageant after winning their state's title. In 1977, it was revitalized as the Mrs. America pageant to mirror its sister contest, Miss America, which everyone has heard of. The women that I'm competing with are some of the most amazing women that you'll meet. They are first responders, CEOs, nurses, college professors, a scientist, and so many more talented women who are eager to win the state's title. But I will bring the crown home for Clinton. One of the requirements for competing to be a state representative is that I have a platform to promote a cause that's greater than myself that I'm fighting for. The overall platform for the Mrs. Tennessee and Mrs. America system is Victoria's Voice, which is an initiative to prevent drug addiction and overdoses. My personal platform that I've had since I was 6 years old, sneaking stray animals into my house and hiding them from my parents, is animal welfare, specifically those who have been lost and abandoned and have found themselves in shelters. Recently, I started a movement that is named Operation Animal Rescue. Its goal is to increase awareness and find homes for animals in shelters, assist in rescuing animals from neglect, abuse, and hoarding cases, and prevent pet abandonment through education and training. As a certified dog trainer, I advise and help anyone who has behavior problems with their dogs in an effort to reduce pet surrenders to shelters for those behavior problems. And the first task I gave myself was to get to work collecting data and intel from wherever I could. Given the high energy and emotional level surrounding matters tonight, I'm not going to go into that any further, but I did submit my own data and findings to my commissioners and to the chairman. But because it is my platform, it's a topic that I address and I speak about whenever I do a talk that is centered around the title. And it's important for my community and for you to know what I stand for. I invite my commissioners to share with you the information I have given them if they feel that it's appropriate. And I would love to invite all of you, if you've never done it, to volunteer at the shelters. Volunteers are necessary and vital and priceless for this work, and I know that any of you would be a welcome set of hands. If you've never done it, just know that the satisfaction of making a difference by walking the dogs or just saying hi to the cats in the kennels or giving out treats is priceless. And it's great for social media publicity. So when I compete to represent Tennessee in April, I have so many amazing things that I'm going to be able to say about Clinton and Anderson County. I'll be bringing more awareness to my own platform, and I hope to bring a little bit more attention to our beautiful county. We chose to move here 14 years ago because we knew this was the best place in Tennessee to raise our son. It's an honor to say that this is my hometown and to be a representative for the citizens. Thank you for your time and consideration. I welcome any feedback and questions and would be very happy to meet with any of you to discuss how I can be of value and assistance to our community.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Miss, I can't say it, Turgonsky. And good luck yeah, Mrs. Clinton. Good luck in April. I'm a pageant mom. No, I don't compete, but I'm a pageant mom, so I know the time and the dedication that takes. So good luck.
Thank you.
And let us know how it goes.
It's my first one ever as a 46-year-old, so maybe I have tips.
Next, we're going to have a proclamation from requested by the mayor for the President's Volunteer Service Award.
All right. You gonna bring them all up here? Okay. Yeah. And I did a certificate for each one of them as well. So hopefully I've got them in the right order. All right. This is an annual recognition of some incredible volunteers that work with our outstanding 4-H program. So I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the President's Volunteer Service Award is a national volunteer awards program that encourages citizens to live a life of service. And whereas this national award honors individuals whose service has made positive impacts on their communities around the country and inspires those around them to put words into action. And whereas led by the AmeriCorps and managed in partnership with Points of Light, the President's Volunteer Service Award program allows certifying organizations to recognize their most exceptional volunteers. And whereas the Anderson County 4-H Extension Office is a President's Volunteer Service Award certifying organization and is now recognizing local 4-H participants, both youth and adults, who have given of their time, knowledge, and talents to serve their fellow citizens. And whereas Dalton Bridges, Danny Bridges Jr., Emma Grace Bridges, Thomas Bridges, Bailey Brown, Briley Gray, Sadie Gray, Riley Mazingo, and Alice O'Gain have each received gold awards for their volunteer efforts by completing between 79 and 273 hours of volunteer service in 2024 and have been honored as President's Volunteer Service Award recipients. Likewise, Autumn Green and Skylar Mazingo completed 78 and 188 volunteer service hours, respectively, last year, and they received silver awards as the 2024 President's Volunteer Service Award recipients. Laura Gray, Landon Green, Hunter Mazingo, and Blaine O'Gain each completed between 34 and 115 volunteer service hours to receive the Bronze Award. Now, therefore, in recognition of the outstanding accomplishments of our local President's Volunteer Service Award honorees and the positive examples they set for others in our community, and acknowledgement of National Volunteer Week, April 20th through the 26th of 2025, we, Terry Frank, Mayor of Anderson County, and the members of the Anderson County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim April 21st, 2025 as President's Volunteer Service Award Day in Anderson County, and we wholeheartedly thank the honorees for their dedicated leadership, their voluntary contributions of time and labor, and their compassionate hearts of service to the community. And we will now call the award winners forward. Dalton Bridges. Okay. There you go. We can. Yeah. With all the commissioners?
At the end.
Danny Bridges Jr. Affectionately known as PJ. Emma Grace Bridges. Congratulations, Emma Grace. The Bridges family is clearly hard at it. Thomas Bridges. Bailey Brown. Briley Gray. Thank you for all your hard work. Congratulations. Sadie Gray. Sadie, I see you all over the courthouse. Congratulations. Thank you for all your hard work. Laura Gray. She's not here. Okay. Autumn Green. Landon Green. Awesome. Congratulations, Landon. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Hunter Mazingo. Miss Riley Mazingo. Congratulations, Riley. Thank you. So proud of you. It's another dedicated family. Skylar Mazingo. Congratulations. Thank you for everything. Ogan. I'm sorry. Alice Ogan. Alice. I'm sorry I didn't pronounce your name correctly. Congratulations. Nicole. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all the work. Blaine Ogan. Congratulations, Blaine. Thank you for all your hours of service. Is that it? Do you want to say something?
These 4-H members, they are super active in our community as far as being part of our honor club and doing community service. You name it, they've done it. They've worked with the Anderson County Animal Rescue Foundation. They have been at Meadowview Assisted Living. They've been at the Lantern, cleaning up their flower garden. They have created birthday cake boxes and put in community blessing boxes. They helped with the Isaiah House. So we're just really proud that we get to work with such amazing kids that really have a dedication to our community. And thank you guys and thank you, Mayor, for issuing the proclamation. We really appreciate it. We'll get a picture with everybody.
Chairman Mays, would it be okay if they take a picture? They would like a picture,
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
group with everyone. And thank you for taking the time. These young people work so hard. I know it takes up a lot of time of the meeting, but they earned it. So,
They're much better than John.
if all the award winners could come forward. I'm going to get this signed.
Well, we're going to actually call the public.
He'll go up there.
Whatever's fine. Whatever he needs is fine. Oh, yeah. It's better to scoot chairs in.
That's what I did.
Is there anybody?
I didn't think it was coming. I walked through the gate. He was
Thank you all again. We appreciate all your hard work. If you see any of these young people out and about, make sure that you thank them for their service.
I thought I heard yours. Andy.
Okay.
Andy.
Thank you
No one
again.
out here can hear.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you again. If you see these young people out and about, please thank them for their service and their hard work. We're going to go a little bit out of order. We are actually going to go to the public hearing portion of the meeting. So we will be having a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Anderson County zoning resolution to include rezoning of the property at 112 Lambton Road in Andersonville. It will be rezoned from R1 to C2. Do we have anyone here C1. I said C2, it's C1. Do we have anyone here to speak on behalf of or in favor of the rezoning? Mr. Smith, please come forward and just tell us your name and your address.
My name is Brian Smith, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the rezoning for the lodge. It's Valley Lodge number 383. Any questions that I can answer?
Did you all hear that?
I don't know if it's getting out here.
Okay. We're having a little bit of trouble with the mics.
Can't see if it's.
Do you want to repeat what you said, or
Can you hear me on the mic?
I think so.
My name is Brian Smith, and I'm a member of Valley Lodge number 383 at 112 Lambton Road, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the lodge for getting it rezoned. Just if there's any questions about what our purpose is.
Okay.
Sure. We just want to get it rezoned so that we can rent out some space on the grounds and create an income to help raise funds for the lodge, other than just what members are raising through donations and their own personal funding. So if we get it rezoned also, what we're trying to do, we have a building and a space on the grounds that we want to try and meet the state requirements to do an internet-based sales car lot. So it could get commercially, if it's commercially zoned, it will meet the state requirements, and then we can lease it out for someone. I think I mentioned in the planning committee that a good analogy is probably out here on the highway. I've used this a number of times. Kevin Kitts has got a place out there. Everybody's probably seen it, drove by it, whether they knew what it was or not. Fenced in area. He does internet-based sales mainly. And it's just a few vehicles sitting there. But it meets state requirements so he can get the licensure. And that's what we want to do. We want to meet the state requirements so somebody can get the licensure so we can rent it out for an internet-based sales. Or auto sales or whatever we may be able to rent it out for. So if there's any other questions.
Other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Do we have anyone that wants to speak against rezoning? Okay, well, then we will close the public hearing portion, and now we will move on to a presentation by EagleView Mapping. Mr. Alley, do you want to introduce?
I'm John Alley. I'm the property assessor, and this is Trent Pell with EagleView. He's the representative is going to give a display of what EagleView is capable of doing, and it's the system that I'm asking for to help us go from a 5-year to a 4-year reappraisal. And I wanted him to be able to do this presentation, and he might have a few things to say as well. But the biggest reason is it keeps our personnel down as far as having to hire people to go into a 4-year. I think we can do the 4-year reappraisal with the same amount of employees we have now with this mapping system.
Bear with me 1 second while I get everything fired up here.
And it's really it's the state-of-the-art imagery system. I said mapping, but it shows the images of the county from all 4 angles and our dwellings and all the properties in the county actually.
Okay, I think can everyone see my screen on the machines? Oh, okay, you guys are good. You have a lot of screens. You're in good shape then. Great. So as John mentioned, my name is Trent Pell. I'm with EagleView Technologies. Some folks may have even heard of us as a company called Pictometry in years before, if you've been involved in local government for many years. We've been around since the late 90s as a company. Started out as a digital aerial imagery firm in like 1998 when digital imagery was in its infancy. And we've started doing aerial collections with cameras attached to the bellies of aircraft then, and we've been doing it ever since then for a large number of customers all across the country and internationally as well. We work with many customers across the state of Tennessee, and we have a 2-person team that usually we're kind of doing this in tandem. And my counterpart is Savannah Heckman. She's not here tonight, obviously, just too many different things kind of going on, so we couldn't both be here. So a little bit more about EagleView, who we are. As I mentioned, aerial imagery. We also have a lot of analytics around what we do. We have a main headquarters that surrounding the imagery sciencing side is out of Rochester, New York. If anybody's familiar with Rochester, a lot of image sciencing things came out of there, such as like Kodak, Xerox, Bosch & Lomb. That's all out of a university there called RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, where they have an image sciencing degree. A lot of things kind of blossom out of there, including us as a company. One of the students and a professor there got together in the early to mid 90s, and this is the product of that, what you have here now. So what do we do? Everybody, since the dawn of things such as like Google Earth and Bing Maps and MapQuest back in the day, even whenever mapping became kind of regular for everybody from a PC, from our phones or from a computer, we started to see imagery such as like what you have on the screen show up for the lay users, for the general public. we've been doing this since the early to mid late 90s, and what we found is that there was a greater need to be able to look at something besides just what you see here, this straight down what's called an ortho image. So we collect this whenever we do a flight with our aircraft, but we also collect what's called an oblique image as well. So that way you can see everything from all perspectives of a property. It tells the full story. You're not just looking at that straight down approach of just the top of the building. You're now easily able to see how tall the building is. You can see what it's made out of. You can see where the entrances and exits are. If we go back to this view, you might even look at the back of that structure and think it's part of the parking lot. But we can easily tell when we flip back to that it's actually part of the structure, that they maybe added on to that what looks like to be maybe a church building. So it tells the full story whenever we have that oblique view. So we collect that at the same time whenever we're doing our aerial collections. But we don't just get one view, we actually collect all four sides. So you get every square inch of the jurisdiction that you're interested in with all of the four oblique views and that ortho view whenever we do like an EagleView project for a county. And that's what we're proposing to do here for Anderson County. We do work with a lot of other counties throughout the state of Tennessee, and we do contract with those counties at the local level. One of the major uses for that is things such as property reassessment. And this is a little bit of the technology that we use to do that. This is a look at our camera system. You can see it has some cameras and some lenses in there, and that kind of sweeps across whenever our planes are flying across the county. And then that goes into a full system software that can be utilized for property reassessment, used heavily in public safety. A lot of the imagery can integrate directly into the mapping systems that are already used in place at the county, whether it's being used in the state's impact system, which is a computer-assisted mass appraisal system that John uses in his office. So we already have arrangements and agreements in place where that imagery integrates directly into there, as well as public safety systems, as I mentioned earlier. Additionally, some of the mapping software that's already used for parcel mapping, such as like the Esri Arc Pro software as well too, the imagery already comes into there automatically as well. So some of the imagery that we capture is extremely high resolution, just specifically for those needs to be able to view a property that might be way off the beaten path. Maybe it's way off the road. Maybe it's got a gated drive. Maybe there's a need to look at something more detailed before maybe there's even a warrant served or something like that on a property. Maybe there's a zoning or code compliance issue. This imagery can be used from that directly from the desktop. And it's captured and delivered in a fairly quick basis so that it can be used quickly right after the imagery is captured. This is just to look at some examples of some of the imagery and how that can be used. We also collect what's called post-disaster imagery. So if there is an incident where we are under a contract with the entity, with the county, we can come back and actually fly imagery up to 200 square miles at no charge if it meets some criteria. This is just a quick look at some of that criteria. Typically maybe tornadoes that might be affecting you all in this area. I know that there's been a lot of some flooding issues and things that have happened in eastern Tennessee over recent months. We actually were contacted by many of those counties to go in and fly imagery post-disaster so that they would have a record of what happened after those events moved through. So that's something that we also offer to all of our clients as well too, as that post-disaster imagery. So some of those additional tools that we've been in discussion with John's office is to really look at detection of what's happening on properties and what's happening to be able to have a better idea as to being fair and equitable with all of the taxpayers across the county. And those are tools such as what I'll mention here, Change Finder, where what we do is we take 2 years of imagery and we compare those years of imagery to actually identify where structures have changed. Maybe there was a permit pulled, maybe there wasn't. Maybe it's been a long time since that property's been visited, it's hard to get to. With the imagery, you're actually able to determine if there's a new structure or a demolished or even a changed structure on that property. And there's reports that are provided directly to John's office, and you can go through the mapping system to be able to determine if we've already picked that up within their general reassessment cycle. As John had mentioned, they're going to a more frequent cycle in terms of that. So it helps to be able to really focus those efforts to say, hey, these are the ones that I really need to know we need to look at because there's been something that's happened. There's been change on that property. I'm going to kind of go through some of these here fairly quickly just for time's sake. So, additionally, I mentioned some of the third parties we work with, the state's impact system. We also work closely with different public safety and public works software. We always structure the agreements that we do with the counties to where if they deem it necessary, they have the ability to share any of that data and the software and access with any other constituents across the county when it comes to like a local government entity. So if you want to share it with townships, you want to share it with any of the cities or towns, or if you want to share it with maybe even in the school districts, if they see a need for it, you would have the ability to share that across any of those entities as well too. So I'm actually gonna really take a gamble here, and I'm gonna show you a live demo. So I wanted to make sure you're aware of the type of imagery that we are actually proposing to collect. Looks like we lost signal. There we go. So, okay. So this is the actual software platform that the county would have access to upon a collection. So this is some imagery that we freshly captured down in Sevier County. We just collected this imagery on 12/23 of 2024 based on the date there. If anybody's familiar with Gatlinburg, this is the creek or river that runs right through downtown. If you go down this way, I think the Ripley's Museum is just right down the street here. So just wanted to give you an idea as to how detailed and how useful that imagery would be to be able to actually take a look at properties. And additionally, you have the analytics tools available so that you'd be able to easily be able to grab a distance out. If I needed to measure something on that structure, I would very easily be able to grab a distance out. And one of the really unique things is I can grab this height tool here, and I can very quickly just grab a height of the structure. Comes in really handy for property reassessment. If you have to revisit property multiple times, you can pull this out very quickly from the desktop. Pre-planning for public safety makes it very nice to be able to have these measurement tools and these types of things right at your disposal from the desktop as well too. So at that, I will leave it open to some questions. If you have any questions, just for time's sake, I totally understand that there's probably some more things on the agenda tonight too. So. Yeah.
When you talk about this product being seamless with other systems, do they have to have the same system, or it's just they have to have the correct formatting of the imagery?
Yeah. So it's going to depend on the system. We work very closely with pretty much every mapping platform that's out there.
Yeah.
So just because imagery is a pretty specific science, so we collect it and we deliver it in kind of industry standard formats so that we be pulled into anything that can already read from an imagery standpoint. And so if it is a mapping application, likely case is that it's gonna come in just in its native format that we're collecting the imagery in. We do have some custom integrations that are out there as well too, such as things like the impact system with the state. That's something we worked very closely with the state to develop that integration to make sure it would work directly in there. So.
Do you train other people to use your systems?
Definitely, yeah. So once we're under,
Then there will be some training.
You betcha.
With the
Yeah.
IT people.
Yeah. And the application itself is very simple to use. It's intended to be able to be used by an everyday user, where GIS or mapping systems are not their day-to-day activities. It's actually just meant to be able to pull up a property very quickly through the use of actually maybe just doing a search for a parcel number or an address. So you just punch that in, you can get directly to that location, and then the first thing you're doing is you're just rotating around to look at the property just by clicking on a few buttons up here. So it's very simple to use.
So you could rotate that image around?
Correct, yeah. So that's I'll just click here. So if I click this button right here, that's going to rotate me to that other side, and that's how simple it is to get around the structure. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you betcha.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
we
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. We do have some documentation. If anyone would like a copy, I know that the we had quite a few things printed off, and we have some extra ones as well too, if anybody would like some pamphlet as well too. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the presentation, proclamation, and public hearing portion of the meeting, and then we'll transition right into the county commission meeting.
All right, we will call the Monday, February 24th County Commission meeting to order. Roll has been called. We do have a quorum. First, we will start out tonight with a prayer and a pledge. Tonight's prayer, I think he's out in the hallway, will be led, the prayer and the pledge will be led tonight by Zach Farah. Zach Farah is served in the United States Marine Corps as a JAG officer. Later, whenever he got wise and moved to Anderson County, he served on the Clinton City Council for a number of years, and also served as vice mayor for the city of Clinton. And I'm not going to give much more accolades if he don't get in here. Served a number of years again as a JAG officer, served as an attorney here in Anderson County as well. There he is.
This is a full house.
Yeah. Zach, I have introduced you. If you now would just lead us in the prayer and the pledge.
Yeah. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask for your blessings to be upon this body. Be with these men and women tonight as they govern. Lead them to wise decisions. Give them the courage and the confidence to do thy will for your people. Lord, pray for Anderson County, our citizens, our children, our great state that we get to live in Tennessee. Lord, be with us, lead, guide, and direct us in all that we do. In Jesus' holy name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I'm not sure if you all can hear me or not, but we are now going to move into a part of our agenda that is the appearance of citizens. I see a lot of familiar faces, but some that are Andy. If I get any closer, Andy, I'll eat it. I mean, Andy. Get further? Okay. I couldn't hear. Maybe it's me. All right. So this is a part of our agenda where we allow citizens to speak on items that are on and off the agenda. We give 3 minutes for you to address the commission. We ask that you come, state your name, your address. The 3 minutes is a hard cutoff, so just throwing that out there now. We don't mean to be disrespectful, but just it's to be timely. Also, during the time of your 3 minutes, we ask that there are no disruptions in the audience, no outburst. When you're speaking, to not be inflammatory, defamatory, anything like that, questioning motives. All comments have to be directed at the chair, so if you've got a problem with Commissioner Foster's haircut, direct that at the chair. But I would just say, I think most of everybody here has been in here. Those are the rules, and then again, this is the warning. So if there's any violation of those rules, we would just ask that you go out in the hallway. So at this time, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I think Mr. Mullins' hand's probably about to go up. We will and Bear Stevenson. Bear, we'll let you go. Looks like you've got food. Then Mr. Mullins, we'll go to you, and then we'll keep going down the list.
I'm Bear Stevenson. I live at 114 Sinking Springs Road here in Anderson County. I'm here for 2 reasons. Number one, these outstanding 4-H'ers that were awarded tonight and recognized. I was state 4-H president and very active in 4-H growing up on a farm over in Dutch Valley, 5 miles from here. It's a program that's very near and dear to my heart, and I just wanted to be here to show my support for the 4-H program. Secondly, I'd like to say that you didn't recognize and state that Zach Farah is from Shelbyville, Tennessee. He met Dudley and Jink Bostic's daughter at UT, got married, and he was smart enough to move to Clinton.
That's right.
And the third thing is, I was at the Receiving of Friends and the memorial service for Carolyn Irwin, who used to be the 4-H agricultural extension agent here in Anderson County. She passed away. She was John Rice Irwin's sister-in-law. She was 92 years old, and as we were up there at the museum after her funeral at Norris Memorial Gardens, we were standing around, and Gary Long and Josh Anderson and I were in a conversation, and I asked Gary, I said, "Are you going to be at the Marlow Volunteer Fire Department's auction tonight?" He said, "Yeah, I'll be there." And I looked at Josh, I said, "Are you going to be there?" He said, "No, I've got another commitment." I said, "It's okay. You can send your money. I'll buy you something." Well, Gary came up to me before the auction started and gave me $100. He said, "Buy Josh something." Well, Josh, I bought you something at that auction, and I took it home. It's a strawberry with cream cheese. It only cost $80, but being the good auctioneer that I am, I donated the other 20 to the volunteer fire department in Marlow. So I want to deliver you your purchase strawberry with cream cheese that you bought Saturday night.
Do I owe you or do I owe Gary? Who do I have to pay? Okay.
It's the first time. I won't limit those kind of speakers. Just a little soft joke there, but I will say one thing if I didn't mention is obviously this is a big crowd. I think most of us know kind of why there is a big crowd. Just as I have done, and just as chairmen before me have done, we will limit the number of speakers tonight to a couple to represent your point of view. Again, that is something that's covered under the Open Meetings Act as well as in our rules. Definitely not meant to be punitive, but to be efficient and to move forward. I think that Nathan's hand was up. Mr. Mullins, you are next if you're ready.
Thank you very much. I'm Nathan Mullins from Oak Ridge. Abe Lincoln stated to sin by silence when they should protest makes cowards of men. So, I represent moral majority Christians in Anderson County by exposing the sexual solicitation of minors through the sex apps and hookup sites being offered within the preteen catalog by this library board to unwitting parents and innocent children. Our tax money is being used with complicity to break sexual exploitation laws and facilitate a gateway to locate and exploit minors through known pedophile traffic sites. The most illegal examples are the ones I will expose tonight. So far, the only books removed from taxpayer funding were the grooming ones my friends flagged in school libraries with cooperation by Secretary of State Trey Hargett. And let me illustrate what your local librarians insist is needed by 11-year-olds. A coercive title used to enable sex trafficking is called "This Book is Gay," which describes how to join and download sex apps. This is an excerpt from the book. Number 1, upload a tiny pic of yourself to the app. 2, the app works out your location. The app tells you who the nearest homosexuals are. You then chat to them. 5, because they are near, it is easy to meet up with them. This book and the next show preteens how to enjoy websites like Grindr, which is Tinder for our gay friends. And if you don't already know about Grindr, the federal agency ICAC does, or Internet Crimes Against Children. They advise that there are no security protocols to identify or prevent convicted pedophiles from meeting your kids on any type of social internet app. Also, this title has famously been cross-examined in front of Congress, called Let's Talk About It, which is offered to 11-year-olds by your tax money at your library. Inside the recommended websites by those books are internet sources that claim to be the most extensive LGBT deep dives available. These are the pages the county commission doesn't allow pictures from. But before the board, it's illegal to broadcast it, but they do let it be offered to our local kids. Many others were sourced for your kids across this very street.
All right.
Thank you
Mr.
for your
Mullins.
consideration.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
State your name and your address, please.
My name is Linda Glowenka. I'm an Oak Ridger. I have a doctorate in physical therapy, and the reason I'm here is...
Speaking to the mic, please.
Oh, okay.
Because we're being recorded.
Okay. I had talked to Josh at Anderson at a 4-H 4-H event, volunteer event, and the reason I'm here is to talk about the National Institute of Health. I have a daughter that works there. She's been there through 3 administrations. It's a very rough time right there, right now. And she talked to us and said, Mom and Dad, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to say? She's got her bachelor's degree from the University of Tennessee, her master's degree from the University of College of London in maternal and child health, and she's her PhD from Emory. My question to you is, do you understand what we're losing from NIH? What's complicated with NIH right now is it does not have a director. The director has to be approved by Congress and has to go through the same processes that a senator or a Congress or anybody else has to do. The last one was fired. So what's the current state of the federal employees? You read things in the news. You probably don't hear everything. They've been told to have a go bag. They get emails, 8:30 at night. Friday night was a perfect example. If you open up your email, is it going to say you're fired? If you open up your email, you only have an hour to get to your office to clear your office. There's no regard to past performance reviews or any of the work ethics. The federal employees are here to serve the people. What about NIH? It's non-political. It is not motivated for profit and seeks unadulterated truth. It was established in 1937 by FDR. It sets the gold standard in medical research around the world. And what about DEI? Did you know that all the studies at NIH are no longer going to include women? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 30 seconds, yeah.
Okay.
That's your warning.
Okay. What about research? Cancer, heart disease, stroke, ADHD, autism, glaucoma, diabetes. It's everything that we hear about that we have to treat. I want to leave you with 3 thoughts. This is 3 types of people. There are those that make things happen. There are those that watch things happen.
Time.
And those that say, what happened?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Startup, I apologize. Shelley, you go ahead. Thank you. You're next. My apologies for not seeing that hand.
My name is Dan Startup, 138 Butternut Drive, Norris, Tennessee. I spoke briefly with the Operations Committee and wanted to speak before the full commission. By now, you're all aware of the situation my wife encountered as a volunteer at the animal shelter But this highlights the reason that we're here. We're asking for the creation of an oversight board. Most shelters have these. With the current setup, there's really no place to discuss problems, concerns, make suggestions, and there's no real organized system to encourage and manage the volunteers. I'd like to ask quickly for a quick show of hands from the commissioners who has been to the animal shelter in the last 12 months. Just raise your hand. Especially if you have volunteered there, or if you tried to adopt a pet, you see that many of the procedural items have fallen through the cracks there. These directly affect the welfare of the animals, and as animals have no agency, it is up to us to look after them. If a commissioner votes no on this issue, I'm sure that your constituents will want to know why and what your reasoning is. Another advantage to an oversight board is it gives long-term stability as commissioners, mayors come and go. This would go beyond just any current administration. There's also talk of a new shelter, which would be wonderful, but a new facility will not address any of these organizational problems we're talking about. Finally, the creation of an oversight board would allow citizens to take these concerns and matters there instead of having to be at a county commission meeting where you all have all the business of the county, which is a growing and vast county, to manage. And on a personal goal would be for my wife and I to be able to volunteer again, allowed to walk dogs down at Aspire Park and give them a break from the stressful confines of the shelter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm John Glowinka. I live in Oak Ridge. I was hired by ORNL in 1977 to provide context. Elvis Presley died the day before I arrived for a house search. We settled in Oak Ridge. That began a 30-year career with ORNL. So who am I? I'm a conservative. I believe in doing the hard work to achieve value-added goals. I've done this as a farmhand, a co-op student in a gas and electric utility while an undergraduate, a lab rat while pursuing graduate degrees, a staff scientist in the United States Air Force, a university faculty member, research staff member and manager at ORNL, and a scientist and manager in the U.S. DOE's Office of Science, Office of Fusion Energy Sciences in D.C. I understand that the U.S. economic engine dominates the world and is powered by U.S. companies, both big and small, who make profits for shareholders by delivering products while navigating headwinds such as regulations, competition, etc. The primary metric for success is cash for the shareholders. This is good. I understand that the government, with its resources, reaches out to the economic engine for goods and services such as aircraft carriers, transportation infrastructure, and research on difficult problems. U.S. citizens are the customers, and the metric is achieving life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is good. So why am I here? I am angered by the misguided, wholesale attempt to make the U.S. government run like a business. To be sure, there are opportunities to improve. I get it. But is it efficient to demonize the civil service workforce writ large with misinformation and threats, who on a daily basis are charged with government resource stewardship? Is it efficient to dismantle the system of assuring proper stewardship of resources? Is it efficient to destroy lives and careers of people? Is it efficient to alienate the best and the brightest from entering public service? I'm disappointed with congressional willingness to allow such destruction to continue unabated. You commissioners can insert yourself. Just before my parents pinned on my second lieutenant bars and just before I became a U.S. DOE civil servant 34 years later, I raised my right hand and solemnly swore to support and defend the Constitution. I did that in both places. Same words. Thank you. I'm a servant of the U.S. people.
All right, we'll go with you. And then I see a hand in the back. And then
Hi.
Bill, I see you with your hand.
Hi,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me. I've fought flu A, so I apologize. I hope you can hear me.
And I've been told by the back to don't get too close to the mic. It has nothing to do with your flu, I promise. Yes. Well, go ahead.
I'm Beverly Kay. I live at 928 West Outer Drive in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I wanted to speak about the animal shelter. What we're really looking for is a partnership to help serve both with our community, our citizens, and to support the animals. I was a volunteer at the shelter. I've also, on my own, do the adoptable animals at the Oak Ridge Animal Shelter. I'm so sorry, I used to work with that one too. At the Anderson County Animal Shelter, I do that on my own. I'm an admin for that. I have been banned from the shelter because I spoke up for the animals back in 2021 and 2022. So several of the volunteers that are here have been banned from the shelter. We can no longer participate. But I do go to PetSmart, and I take pictures of the kitty cats because there are not many cats that are shown on the Anderson County page, so I try to get them seen, and I want to write their little stories. So some of the concerns that we have are with the volunteers. The volunteers are priceless to the shelter. With the staff and the director doing all that they have to do their responsibilities, they don't have a lot of time to spend maybe loving the animals, walking the animals. These animals are confined to four walls. The shadows they see are their own, sometimes in these stainless steel, and they're really scared when they come in. So it helps to have a calm voice, calm hand to help with that. The volunteers do everything. Rosemary and I, we did everything. We loved, we petted, we shared stories about the animals. We washed dishes, we did the laundry, we named the animals everything. We fed them. We purchased things out of our own pockets. The visibility of the animals is very important to us. The problem is, I used to do Pet Finder when I was there. Well, now that I don't have access to the shelter, I can no longer do that. So we've lost that resource. The animals are not online. We can't really see them. I share a lot of information from other groups, some rescues that provide information. I'm always sharing that, and I share educational information as well. The volunteers at PetSmart are exceptional. The cat volunteers, I wanted to let you know that. We all want adoptions to loving families. We want less euthanization. And when you have scared animals or sick animals, which is kind of the criteria, or no room, animals are going to be afraid. So I would ask that you really consider doing this oversight board, because I think there are things that you can do when you go in and see and give your own expertise on what you were witnessing, maybe where we can help the director. Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I'm going to I'll be going into the back. Or is this for the shelter? Okay, and then so this is, folks, like I said, this will be the last speaker as far as pro resolution on the shelter. Bill, I think you had your hand up. Is that correct? Did you have your hand up, Bill? Yeah, we'll go to you right after. Oh, it's Marcia. I didn't see you with the mask on.
Right? As I said from the back, and people probably couldn't hear me, I wear the mask because I'm immunocompromised, not because I'm contagious. In spite of what my voice sounds like much of the time. I live in Edgewood Heights Lane, District 1. I was involved with the last kerfuffle that came about regarding the shelter. I'm not going to rehash that. It's over and done with. There was at that time a board selected to make suggestions to oversee the shelter staff and conditions. None were acted on because nothing could be done without the approval of the mayor, whose intentions I'm sure are honorable. But honorable is kind of like thoughts and prayers. It doesn't get anything accomplished, and we're trying to improve the lives of the animals. A board independent of the head of county government is a necessary service for the sake of the animals, to be sure they are being treated appropriately and fairly and not turned into a political football. Lives, be they animal or human, do not deserve to be politically influenced. So I'm standing here to lend my support to the proposition for a board to oversee the shelter, answerable to perhaps commission, perhaps a subsection of commission, but not to the mayor, who is already so very busy with so many tasks on her plate. That's all I got today.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you for your time. And I'll be leaving.
All right, Bill, I believe you're next. 3 minutes, Bill. I know that's going to be tough.
Did I think something funny? No. What they said.
Hey, Bill.
Haven't spoken yet.
3 minutes, okay?
Okay. Good evening. Good to be with you again, and good to see you all. My name is Bill Blankenship. I guess I'm your neighbor from Knox County, and I'm the president of Blankenship and Partners Architects. I think for quite a few years, we've done a few projects with you, and we have not fallen behind one day, and I'm very proud of that. On this animal shelter project, we did fall behind due to personnel, staffing, health problem. Yeah, we did fall behind. And first thing I want to do is eat my humble pie and apologize for that. That's the bad news. The good news is we've now made up that time, and as I was telling you walking in, I'm pointing to Mr. Allen and Mr. Smallridge up there, we're ready to rock and roll with the animal shelter. Let me throw out 3 or 4 very important landmarks that are coming up. I wanted to be finished this time next week, and I will be. But my consulting engineers, structural, mechanical, electrical, they wanted one more week to the 10th. So on March 10th, we're sending all of our drawings and the whole set of construction documents, including the spec, to the U.S. Department of Agriculture for their review. That was terms or their conditions. They wanted to review it before it goes out. At the same time, we'll be submitting it to the building officials across the street for building officials' approval and approval of a building permit. So that's coming up here in 2 weeks from today. The first week of April, assuming we get everybody's comments back and we're ready to go, the first week in April, we'll put the project out for bids, out for public bids. It's a good time to bid, is my experience. Right now, it's a busy climate for contractors, but they're definitely looking for a good project. So, and then finally, the final landmark that I wanted to mention is the first week in May, we should have a public bid opening for this project. It's still just slightly under 14,000 square feet. I think it's on budget, which was...
Bill, that's time. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
okay.
Unless anybody wants. All right. Is there anyone else? Commissioner Isbell, yes, sir.
Chairman, Mr. Burge was here and wanted to speak earlier, and I didn't know if he was out in the hallway or not, too. So,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Burge. Colt, did you have your hand up? Bill, thank you. You can go ahead, Colt. I'm not sure if he... I think they said Burge. Jimmy Burge.
Jimmy Burge. Jimmy Burge.
Colt, you're up.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Colt Jennings. I live at 430 Douglas Lane. At the last budget meeting, I asked the question for those members, how are other counties that are similar size and smaller than Anderson County able to pay their deputies so much more than we are? I got an answer today. I received a call back from Robertson County Sheriff's Office. If you remember from the last meeting, they're about 5,000 citizens smaller than us, and they're right near Nashville. The big difference between us and Robertson County, though, is their deputies start out $20,000 higher than us, at $66,000 starting pay. I asked the public affairs officer how they were able to pay so much. She began to tell me about the struggles their agency had in recruiting. They did job fairs, they tried recruiting strategies, they did sign-on bonuses. Nothing was working. So they started doing exactly what I've done for the last 2 years. Did presentations before the county commission and talked about the high cost of housing, inflation, the high risk and liability in this field. They also compared the starting pay of local Walmart and factory workers, and then factored in things like training and liability. We then talked about insurance, which is another huge issue. I asked her what their cost for family insurance was, and she said, I don't have the exact number right now. When I told her what the cost of our insurance was, and I quote, "Oh my God, I know ours isn't that high." But in the end, their county commission agreed with them and gave them a massive raise, which was partially funded by a tax increase. I don't have the number for the increase, but I do know this. Even with an increase, Robertson County's property tax is $1.80 per 100 assessed. Ours is $2.60, 44% lower, and their deputies are starting at $20,000 higher. So I hope you take this information under careful consideration as you work on the budget right now. And as always, I'm here available, willing to help. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you, Colt. All right. Mr. Burge, where'd you go? There you are. Mr. Burge, you've got the floor. You've got 3 minutes, okay?
Jimmy Burge, 246 Braden Flat Lane, Briceville. I was talking to Tim, and I believe I had emailed the mayor, Mr. Isbell. We just received the 1st of January our Highland Fiber Internet. For the past, 25, 30 years, we've not had internet. We've not had a good phone line. We've had AT&T landlines, but they 70% of the time they didn't work, so most people relied on cell phones. Well, I run a business, and I've got a lot of conference calls. I had one for 2 years every Monday. I had to drive to Oliver Springs or Lake City to make that conference call. I had, I'm working on the book, so I've got calls with California. I have to drive to Oliver Springs or Lake City to make those calls. And Zoom calls, couldn't do a Zoom call, couldn't do any of that.
couldn't stream TVs. So we got our new internet, I think around January 1st, 2nd, somewhere in there, and it has truly been a blessing. I know you all, y'all have a lot of things that you deal with every day, and sometimes you don't hear the good stuff about what the county has done, but we're very blessed. But the best part, when you wake up in the morning and you wondering if you're doing what you're supposed to do, I want to tell you this part. My grandson is 2.5 years old, and my granddaughter just turned 4. Well, I believe she was talking at 2 weeks old, I believe, but he has had some speech trouble. He hadn't been talking, and my daughter probably whipped me if she knew I was telling all this, but she's been trying different things and been talking to different people trying to figure all this out. Well, anyway, now I can stream Nature Channel. So I take my 2.5-year-old grandson and we stream Nature, and now he's saying bear and trying to say elephant and all these words, tigers, lions, owl, all these things. So if you need to pick me up sometimes about what you all do, think about that, because something as simple as a phone line or internet to people can change a child's life, and it's in the process of helping change my grandson's life. So I just wanted everybody to know about that.
Thank you, Jimmy. That's awesome.
Thank you for your time.
All right, that's good stuff. All right, looks like we are going to move on. Getting ready to look at the agendas. First, we will start with the consent agenda. Is there any questions, comments, or anything about the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve as presented. Is there any discussion on that motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to the regular agenda. As you commissioners take a look at the regular agenda, if there is anything, we have a motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Is there any, okay, Commissioner Barron, you're recognized, sir.
Yes, Chairman. With the people of Anderson County obviously worried about what's going on with Washington, I was hoping that maybe we could request our representatives and senators. They obviously can't just rush down here and meet us, but maybe we could set up a Zoom call or something like that so that we could ask them some questions, or even do a town hall on the internet.
So are you seeking action from this body to do something, or?
I'm asking for the county to request our representatives to meet with us, either by Zoom or by internet.
Okay. Is that some, I would ask Denise, but she's, something that the legislative committee would want to take up, or? Legislative, would you be good with that, Commissioner Barron? Start.
I'll take what I can get.
Duly noted. So legislative can work on that. Is there anything else on the agenda for discussion? Commissioner McCamey, you're recognized.
It appears we've got several people here that are interested in the item under new business.
Yes, sir.
Could we move that up? I'm sure they don't want to sit here all night and try to.
It's a riveting agenda. I am open to whatever the board's will is. Where would you propose putting it,
under
Commissioner?
Presentation of reports. It's part of the.
So before for Operations Committee? Or,
No, it's under operations already, and then it's down to new business, but I'd like to get it up here at number 7A1 or whatever.
okay, so you want to move this to after public hearing report?
Yes.
All right, so the original motion is to approve as presented. Is that correct, Commissioner Yeager?
Is this, let me ask a question. Is this for the new business resolution, or is the one from operations?
The resolution.
The new business one?
Yeah.
Business item? Okay. Okay, sure.
So you're good with that being your motion, Commissioner Yeager?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen? All right, so we will move that to, we will just call it 6A. And so I'm just going to go ahead and make it, as far as the, well, I'll do this after we approve the agenda, but 6A, yeah, or 6B, whichever you want to call it. That will be, it'll be the public hearing and then the new resolution under new business number 9. So is there any other discussion on the agenda? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So at that point, this point now, I will turn it over to Madam Chair Vandergriff for the public hearing report.
Thank you. Earlier this evening, we had a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Anderson County zoning resolution to include rezoning of a property at 112 Lambden Road in Andersonville, parcel 006.01, tax map 032, from R1 Suburban Residential District to C1 General Commercial District.
All right. So I know Mr. Smith spoke on this during the 6 o'clock. Is there any questions pertaining to this zoning resolution? Well, not resolution, but public amendment here. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Anderson, seconded by Commissioner McCamey. All in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes the public hearing for this evening.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, 6B. This is normally number 9 on your agenda, but it has been moved. This is resolution number 2025-02-1201 to create the Animal Shelter Oversight Committee. We have a motion by Commissioner Varon, and we have a second for this motion, seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Is there any discussion on the motion at hand? Commissioner McCamey.
I'd like for the county law director to tell us what an oversight committee, what kind of powers they have. I've been told that they can borrow money, they can terminate people. Is that what we're looking at? I mean, I wish it was referred to as the advisory committee to make recommendations. I've served on the original animal welfare task force before we ever had a shelter, was involved with building the shelter, even volunteered and helped build the shelter. I served on the animal welfare task force. Then I was a member of the Animal Advisory Committee, but I'm a little leery on this being called an oversight committee and what kind of powers they have. I don't think everybody's aware of what an oversight committee is.
All right, good question, Commissioner. Mr. Brooks, you have the floor.
Well, the oversight committee, first of all, this resolution is identical to the one from March of 2024. It's placed on as a renewal of that motion, which I understand failed at that time.
Mm-hmm.
The powers, I guess, are what delegated or given to the Oversight Committee are those that are in the resolution itself. And that's it. You mentioned borrowing money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the commission itself is the only authority that can do that. They don't have the authority to do money. This body holds the purse strings.
I think to follow up just real quick is there's been a lot of the word independent board. Jamie, if you could maybe clarify.
They would not be independent. The makeup of it is in the resolution, which has come before this commission before. 3 members appointed by a commission, 3 members appointed by the mayor, and 3 that are appointed by the nominating committee with a commission approval. They don't operate independent of this body. They don't have that authority.
Okay.
If this body creates them, this body can shut them down.
Commissioner Kamey, are you?
Commissioner, does that answer your question?
Why can't we just call it advisory committee instead of oversight? Oversight scares me just a little bit.
You can.
If you look up in Webster's dictionary or on the internet, the word oversight, it scares me that we're creating a monster.
Well, of course, this body can do whatever it wants with the resolution. It can debate it. It can obviously amend it with the requisite number of votes. It can send it back to operations to be fleshed out more. That's up to this body. What you will have in front of you is 6A is exactly what you had in front of you in March of 2024.
All right, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have some questions too. To make this vote, do we have to rescind the original resolution and then we vote to pass or not pass this one? Seems like there's a 2-step process. I just want to make sure that we have to get rid of the original one by rescinding it or renewing it, and then we vote on the resolution before, the motion before us.
Commissioner, is that addressed to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will say this, you've not gotten to the operations report. In that operations report, there is a recommendation that the 2024 resolution that failed be brought back up for a vote. That would be out of order. That motion's done. That resolution died. This is a renewal to present the exact same motion unless it's changed some way by this body to be voted upon by commission.
Okay, so when you say renewal, we don't have to vote to renew it. We just have to vote on this particular resolution.
It has to be taken up, seconded, and whatever happens after that before the vote.
Yes. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I've seen a lot of the information that has been presented across the social media this past few weeks, and I've read information via email. I've read information on these blogs, and I do think that to say oversight, it does seem to connotate this idea that this committee will be over the mayor, our executive, and over the director. I think that we have to be extraordinarily careful about having an entity that's over the director and over the mayor. I also had the opportunity to visit the shelter itself, and I just happened to be there exactly when they brought a dog in. And I can tell you that the staff there was very, very expert about how to bring that animal in. They took pictures. They actually, scanned the dog, and they put the dog in a proper location in the kennel. They laid out the medicine for this animal, and they were very, very careful about the treatment of these animals. Very, very conscientious. I saw nothing that would indicate whatsoever, that there were problems. I also asked, were any laws broken? I asked the director, were any laws broken? Any state laws, any, county laws, any TCA laws that were broken, and none of that has actually happened there. And I just want to say that there is a emotional element there. There's no broken laws that have occurred, and I do think that people are extending this because, for example, if someone wants a whiteboard, they want it right then and right then. And if it doesn't happen, they tend to make it a big situation, but it's a whiteboard, okay? I also want to say that we are in the process of actually having a, very, very nice new facility. And I would hope that we would have the patience enough to allow things to die down and to say that laws have not been broken. There are people's personal preferences that they want done immediately.
I'm gonna give you 10 more seconds.
Yes, thank you. I'm done.
All right. Commissioner Varon, you're recognized, sir.
Yes, in reading this resolution and everything like this, it does set out certain things that are required or requested to be done by the committee and everything. I don't see that it gives it any executive powers per se, but like on number 25 here, it does say required communication. Communicate concerns and recommendations to the director and mayor and make reports to the legislative body when requested. And an annual year-end written report in July of each year. Now then, I think the way to possibly handle this would be, okay, we have the oversight board. The director does his job, mayor's doing her job. Oversight board comes up with recommendations. They can bring them to the county commission if they got recommendations. This way the mayor can weigh in on it. If there's money to be spent, the commission is well aware of it. And as far as I can tell, that would make everybody happy.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Varon. Commissioner Smallridge, you are now recognized, sir.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, we are voting on the motion that was rejected by the committee. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. There's no change in wording from that motion.
Okay. Well, okay, I have some of the same concerns that Commissioner McCamey had, and one concern is about the name of the committee itself, Oversight Committee. If you want to check on the general meeting of oversight, just go to any dictionary or thesaurus, and it has definitions like act or duty of overseeing, act or job of directing work being done, supervision, management of work. Clearly, it seems to me, as you read that, it looks like the term implies overall management and control of the facility or the programs in that facility. So that's probably my number one concern. There is also language in the resolution which appears to me to be conflicting. At one point it says the mayor
is ultimately responsible for all aspects of the department's operation. Yet, the proposed resolution states, in part, the Oversight Committee will provide operational oversight, supervision, including the development of programs and services for the shelter. So on the one hand, the resolution acknowledges that the mayor is ultimately responsible for all aspects of the shelter's operation, but then says that the Oversight Committee will provide operational oversight and supervision, including development of programs and services for the shelter. Seems like at a minimum there would be a potential for confusion, misunderstanding about the responsibility and who is responsible for what at the shelter. I'm not opposed to having a citizens advisory committee, but I think the resolution as currently written and titled could lead very well to real problems or even contact between the parties involved.
Thank you, Commissioner Smallridge. Commissioner Wandell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sent some emails out today to my fellow commissioners. One was an email from the mayor dated March 11th, 2024, the afternoon before we voted on the last resolution that failed apparently by a voice vote. I brought this up at the Operations Committee through the procedural process to get a name behind each vote, because to me, it was unclear how that vote really went other than it failed by a voice vote. That was the reason for all that to start up. All of the other stuff that's happened with social media is beyond me. Now, the emails I sent today, if you read the one I sent from the mayor dated March 11th, you'll see that the mayor says she's looking for a task force and an oversight board, and please read the email. It's from the mayor. I may miss some words here. So the word oversight, we can sit here and nickel and dime it all day, but the Oxford definition I just read said that it provides management and supervisory. Again, we could probably go deeper and find the words that we're looking for, each of us can. And I heard one of my fellow commissioners say there's been no laws broken.
I said that.
Yeah, I know, I was looking right at you. There has been laws broken, is in 2020. Additional emails I sent out, not sure all commissioners read them, but the comptroller's office did a report on the Anderson County Animal Shelter. 120, might have been 140 animals were euthanized unlawfully. Comptroller's Office of the State of Tennessee did that report. We never got it. I never seen the report. I found it because I started to do what many here have said. Started doing research, started studying, started looking for answers, trying to get answers to questions. So I'll just say, because I know I probably talk too much, vote your conscience. It's okay. I'm still going to love each and every one if you vote no. I may be the only yes vote. That's okay with me. Been there before. I'm not afraid. I'll vote for what I feel. And I feel it needs oversight, and the mayor's still going to be in control of it. Nobody's taking it away from the mayor, which it obviously needs oversight from the last 2 years. Actually, 3 years now, I guess. So I don't see any issues with this, and it's got to be chosen. The mayor will put her however many up, the commission will put their however many up. We'll pick some nonprofits, and we can get down to business taking care of the animals. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. All right. That's good. Thank you. Commissioner Isbell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like most people that's on this board, we got phone calls, text messages, had phone calls that said vote for the dog pound. I've had people walk in and talk about the concerns of some of the liabilities that we go through. Had one guy called that lives right just behind the animal shelter now. I don't know if he's talked to some of the other people. and talked about how the animals are dumped. But we had a real good conversation because we talked about liabilities and we talked about things, and he said at first he was really all for an oversight committee, but the more that he looked into it, he thought maybe a steering committee, and I've got the explanation of that. Steering committee or advisory committee, but everybody I've talked to, we all agree, having a committee put together, on a timely basis. But I think he brought out a good point, because he said where he lives so close to the shelter that people were just dumping dogs. But the one thing about, and cats, but the one thing about the more you pick up, they've got a limited time that they can stay in the shelter. So then we become a killing shelter, which I don't want, nobody else does either. So, and then the other thing you brought up is about, and then I had one guy come and he's a cattle guy. And he said, we take these animals off site. How do we know that they're not going to have, spread a disease somewhere else? And then I had one guy say, well, what's about the liability if we take, and he called the dogs or cats, whatever, inmates, because they become wards of the Anderson County. If they're taken off and they're took somewhere else and they bite somebody or they spread a disease, who's responsible for that? Can you answer that?
Now, say that one more time, Commissioner.
Okay.
Disease and...
If we have an animal and it leaves the shelter and goes somewhere and something happens, God forbid, but if it does, who's responsible? Is it the taxpayers of Anderson County or? And I'm just trying to answer the questions that this guy presented. I mean, is it like an inmate, where we're responsible, or? And I told him I'd ask these questions to get some clarification. I mean, we can just talk about that later.
I don't, are you sure you want me to answer from the cuff? But procedurally, I don't know what goes on pre-adoption. I would think
I'm talking about if they're not
spaying,
adopted.
neutering, and vaccinations.
Or he was.
I'm stretching to see liability on the part of the county. But honestly, I would need to look further into it, Commissioner.
Okay. It would take me more than 3 minutes to talk about what everybody's asking.
No, I understand, yeah. All right, so we do have a question by Commissioner Beauchamp call a question is basically asking for us to stop debating and vote on it up and down, in case, just for clarification. So is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Wendell?
Just point of clarification?
Yes, sir.
When we go to vote, how many for passing, how many for failing? 9?
It'll be 9 for it to pass. So.
Okay, or 9 to fail. Thank you, sir.
Well, 8, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so even with one missing, it's still majority requires 9 for passing. So we do have a call for the question. Commissioner Isbell, you have a question? Comment on the question?
Is when you call the question, normally when we go to vote, we can explain why we're voting one way or the other. The reason why in other words, if you say, well, I'm just not for the wording, but I'm for for a committee. So we're just on this here, you just need to vote yes or no.
Yeah, on just the question itself. Yeah, this vote is just for the question itself. All right, remember, this vote is not yes or no on the shelter committee. This is whether or not that debate will cease, and then we go to a vote. All in favor of calling the question signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Opposed. We have one, if I saw that correctly, one opposition to the question, so the motion carries. So now we are at the Original motion by Commissioner Varon and seconded by Commissioner Wandell. And I just want to, just to clarify, that every vote that comes before this body, with the exception of an appropriation, and it has been since I was following this commission as a kid, is a voice vote, except on appropriations or if a commissioner asks for a roll call vote. That is the only time that we do not, that happens. So just every commissioner has a right to call for a roll call vote on anything. Minutes, agenda, it doesn't matter. So I'm actually going to have a roll call vote, just so there's no question as to where we stand on this. But again, I just want the public to know the comments of secret votes and non-recorded votes are just not consistent with facts. So, all right.
Yeah, could.
The motion by Commissioner Varon is to approve resolution, resolution number 2025-02-1201, resolution creating the Animal Shelter Oversight Committee. That is the motion on the floor. All right. Is there, are you guys in the back ready for a board vote? All right. Yes is creating the board. No is obviously not approving the resolution. And we will go to the board and vote. Five yes, no is 9, 1 abstention. So motion fails. All right. We will move on to elected officials. I'll let it pass real quick. So fast. Okay. Just hush. All right, we will move on. Ben, if you'd close that behind you, that'd be great. Elected officials, county mayor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Only a couple items on the action item. Everything else I took through committee. I'm requesting a motion to confirm the appointment of Mr. Matt Bader to the Anderson County Conservation Board with a term expiring 12/2026. And if you choose to take them together, also requesting a motion to confirm the appointment of Commissioner Michael Foster to the Anderson County Planning Commission, term expiring 1/2028.
Okay. We have a use your thing. We have a motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Anderson, just as a group. Yes, sir. All right. Any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, on this appointment to the Planning Commission,
Yes, sir.
whose spot is Mr. Foster filling?
Tim Isabel, his term has been expired, and so it is going to be Mr. Isabel's. And I did consult with Mr. Isabel on this. Yep. So we've had different commissioners serve in that spot over the years.
Commissioner Isabel served how many years on that?
Well, he served a full term, and they're 4-year terms, so his term expired January 2024. I don't know. I'd have to go back and confirm exactly when he was confirmed by commission. I don't recall. Maybe he does.
6 years.
6 years? Okay.
Well, I'll just want to say, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to thank Commissioner Isabel for his service on that committee. I felt like he brought the committee and this body together and was very professional in the way he did that. I'll certainly support Commissioner Foster. I think it's odd that the next morning this recommendation was made, but that's irrelevant. I'll support this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, I just had a question about Mr. Bader on the Conservation Board. Had we voted, were we going to add some extra members to the board to help make quorum, or is he
No, sir.
it's still 5?
He actually is, if you'll recall, your term has expired and you
Okay.
asked about,
So he's
it's taken
okay,
me a
so-
while. You asked
okay.
about a year and a half ago if I could find someone to
Okay, so I
replace
didn't,
you.
I didn't know if he
Yeah.
was taking my place
Yeah.
or Mr. Crow's or who.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I support that. That's good.
And Mr. Chairman, I do want to clarify something. Long before any issue with the Animal Advisory Board came up, Commissioner Foster did ask if an opportunity arose, and different county commissioners have been on there. Commissioner Steve Emmert served on there. Commissioner Robert McCamey served on there for a little while. Then Robert said, Mayor, can you find someone else? Commissioner Isabel has served. So there's always been rotating commissioners, and that well predated any discussion of an animal advisory or oversight committee.
Okay.
So,
Commissioner Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a great honor to serve on that planning commission. We've achieved a lot of things, and man, it's a great commission. It's very important, for to be there every meeting because you pick up so much, and you'll get a lot of phone calls from other people. You'll be the go-to guy to make drawings and help and all this other stuff. But the mayor did ask me if I would allow, Commissioner Foster, if it'd be okay, and I said yes, absolutely. Commissioner Foster has expertise in this, come from the city of Rocky Top, so I think he'll do well, and I support that. And thank you, Commissioner Wandell. Appreciate you so much.
Appreciate what you did.
All right, Commissioner Foster, you have the floor.
Yeah, I would just like to say, back when I first got elected, I have an email to Annette that said, hey, if there's ever a spot open on planning commission, I would like to, if there's an opportunity to be appointed. And then just back in January, I believe, is when I had the conversation with the mayor, just said, hey, whenever there's a spot that opens up, just consider me. I'd be interested in serving just because of what Commissioner Isbell said about my time at Rocky Top. Planning is pretty interesting to me, so that's why I did that. But it had nothing to do with anything else besides this opportunity to serve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
It doesn't lower the majority, but it passed. All right.
that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Johnny Alley. Yes, sir.
Got a question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
During operations, we talked about when they disbanded the Animal Welfare Task Force, the Animal Welfare Advisory Board. I asked you about starting the task force back. Have you made any headway with that, or?
I've actually spoken with a couple of folks about it, about serving, and I will say, Commissioner McCamey, I have been slow to get things done. I'm sure many of you know Leanne was out for an extended sickness. She's had another out, and so I've just really been in catch-up mode. But I have had 2 conversations with some citizens about serving, and I'm still happy to entertain that and move forward with that. So
Okay.
that's always been my intent, sir.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Allen.
I just wanted to clarify something. When I was talking about there was no findings, I was talking with the director of the animal shelter, Mr. Chairman, and I was asking him had he had any problems or had he broke the law in any way. So I wasn't saying that over the life of the animal shelter whether or not any findings. It was just specifically when Mr. McKenna was there as the director.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wandell.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Mayor, I also recall a comment you made that you would get us reports monthly on the amount of adoptions, euthanizations, that would be monthly, and that was in March of 2024. I was wondering if you had any success there.
Ms. Commissioner, Director McKenna, do you have your annual report with you? Yes. Do you want to step forward and deliver that?
You don't have to give it now. I'd just like
Okay.
to get it each month like we were told, and that'd be great. I mean, I'd love to see that. You can come to operations or this body, either way. I'd just like to see the report.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Beauchamp.
Yeah, and I had spoke to the mayor and asked her if there was things that we could do to make the citizens aware of what's going on with the animal shelter. And I think putting it on the website, things like that, putting those types of adoptions and things like that, and the fundraisers that we're doing. I saw one over in Powell this weekend. It looked like it was a great success with Slim Dog Rescue. So I think doing that stuff too is going to help a lot. And I'm sure the mayor, once Leanne gets back here, she'll get on that stuff.
All right. Commissioner Capshaw, this will be the last, if this is about the shelter, let's wrap this thing up.
Speaking of Slum Dog, I was there today and they had a dog, Lydia, that she, Malaya, I believe it's Hipsky, is who I met, and she was, actually had a dog that she was taking out, and I learned that she has a lot of foster parents that come in and help the shelter and help a lot of our animals get adopted. So I just wanted to comment to that, that I did meet that and saw it happen in person. So thank you.
Yes, I have rescued from Slum Dogs, so they're good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, Johnny.
Thank you, Chairman Mays and
Yes, sir.
Commission for allowing me to speak. I'm here, I'm supposed to ask for the vote of approval to accept our 4-year reappraisal plan, and then to discuss the Deckard Technology and the EagleView contracts.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Allen, to approve the reappraisal plan. Is there any discussion on this plan or on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I guess wanted to see if you had any questions about the EagleView. While Mr. Pell is here, or my Chief Deputy Billy's here, if you had any questions about that, or with the Deckard Technology that I've asked for the short-term rental. It'll pick up all the short-term rentals for us.
It's in budget, correct?
Well, I've been to the budget and operations, but there wasn't a vote at budget or operations.
Okay.
And
You say there's not a recommendation?
No, go ahead, Commissioner McCain.
Not a recommendation from the Budget Committee?
no, well, they didn't take a vote on it. I just gave it to them for informational purposes and to the operations.
Okay. Are you going to need any money?
Yes. And I can come, that's what I'm saying, I don't know if you'd want to vote on that tonight, or you'd rather go back through through
I
budget.
think it would be good to go back to,
Yeah.
Commissioner Val, Chairman Val.
You said what I was going to say. Yeah, I'll go back to budget and ask for it. I thought you were going to ask for money tonight, but they
I
didn't
told them
vote
what the
for it,
cost
so-
would be, but I didn't ask for a vote, because they just got the material, everything's moving fast, and we just actually got the plan. And I had to make sure what year that Roane County was going to do them, because of the City of Oak Ridge. We have to stay on the same reappraisal cycle. So they just 2 weeks ago got theirs approved.
Well, budget's next week. Hard to believe. It's already here. So.
Knox County's on
Okay.
2 years. They had a report.
All right.
2 years.
Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, Johnny, I had just a general question. When you're looking at possibly reappraising a piece of property, it has nothing to do with the inside. It's in other words, changes within the home don't affect what you do in terms of reappraisal.
No, not inside really. I mean,
Okay.
we do mass appraisal for tax purposes, what it's called. So we look at the outside of the structure. If someone calls us in to look at a crack in a basement or something like that, we'll make a special exception and set an appointment to go out. Yes, but for most part, no, we don't go inside.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there any other questions for Johnny? Appreciate you.
All right, thank
Great
you. Thank you all.
presentation earlier, by the way, too. That's good stuff. All right, moving on, Robbie Holbrook.
One thing I want to comment about about EagleView is we're currently advertising that for a sole source, and we have so many days. If someone else says they can do the same thing, then that would have to go out for bid because it is $80-something thousand. So there's more holding up the reason we haven't committed funds yet. That'd have to go through the purchasing, contract approval and stuff like that. So that's not a done deal yet.
Okay.
So you're saying there's other companies out there?
Possibly. We have to advertise a sole source for so many days. Another company, we do that on vendor registry. They have an opportunity to come forward and say they can do the same service. If nobody does, then we move on from there.
All right, audit committee report.
Yes. So on the audit committee report, there was one motion. I presented an unmodified clean audit opinion for fiscal year June 30th, 2024 for the offices of Mayor, Highway Superintendent, and Director of Finance. There was a special note made regarding allegations involving the Anderson County School Department currently under investigation by the Comptroller's Department of Investigations. Commissioner Foster and Commissioner Yeager passed to refer audit report to County Commission with a recommendation for acceptance.
All right, do we have a motion to accept the audit report as presented by Commissioner Yeager and seconded by Commissioner Foster? And Robbie, I just want to tell you, you did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
For this county, the work you do and your staff. We are blessed to have you.
It's a really experienced staff. I will give them credit for that.
Well, y'all do phenomenal.
Thank you.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. So for the finance, were there any questions on the audit committee report before I move on to finance? Okay. Under finance, there was two motions. The first motion was, I gotta be sure I back up off this microphone. I've already presented an update on bid results for the new Claxton Middle School construction project. The motion was made by Tracy Wandell and seconded by Director of Schools, Dr. Tim Parrott, to proceed with the processes outlined in the Resolution 2410-1188 that we passed here in October Commission meeting. And I think, Dr. Parrott, they did award the bid to Merit Construction, and he has entered in negotiations with that company as well.
Thank you.
Okay, sure. And Dr. Parrott can speak more to that in his report.
I know this was mentioned in finance, but can you touch on the bond issuances and how that will play out?
Yes, they're going to issue two $10 million bonds at one this year and then one next year. And Dr. Parrott and the most of the elementary debt service is made by contributions from the 141 fund, and but we do have one coming off of rural elementary in a couple of years, and then several more coming off the 156, the high school debt service. There's an opportunity to move some pennies if necessary, but Dr. Parrott also has a plan to pay for that. Through contributions. We've already been building that debt service fund in 152 the last couple of years. We've added extra funds to that, and our fund balance will possibly be over $1 million at the end of this year. So I think he has a pretty good plan in place to take care of this payment when it's necessary at the beginning, when we're paying more. We'll have more of a debt service payment until we can get to the point where we have all those dropping off, and it will kind of even back out.
And we will go to market on those bonds, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You don't need any action from the body, right, on finance?
We already, this committee has already passed that.
Okay.
In my opinion, I don't think we do. We were just reaffirming the bond and the resolution, and we told Finance Committee we would bring it back to that committee again. And the only other motion, Commissioner Wandell wanted to add the 1981 Act to the meeting's minutes, and I copied and pasted, copied the whole act and presented it in the minutes as well.
All right, thank you.
No actions needed on that as well.
All right. Purchasing and budget report.
Okay. The cash and fund balance report ending January 31st, 2025. The general fund, really quickly, restricted funds 2.2 million, committed funds are 518,537, assigned funds for 4.5 million, and unassigned fund balance is 11.6 million. Total fund balance 19,021,971, cash 20,635,237, which is up 989,000 from last year at this time. School department 141, $10.8 million fund balance, $17.4 million cash ending January. Questions on fund balance? Okay, sales tax of the county as a whole, $4.2 million, up 5.6% from last December. The county's portion, $507,665, which is a little less than last December at $532. All right, in the ARP projects report, you can see there we have total interest remaining $174,431.76. Commissioner Mays asked me to provide an update of the unfinished projects. There are 12 projects currently that have not been completed. One is the Tennessee Emergency Broadband, $250,000 at Comcast. We're just waiting on an invoice from Comcast to pay that bill. The contract with the state ends August 31st, 2025. Archives security cameras, there's only $40.36 left in that project. IT is doing the installation, and I don't think we will be billed for anything else, so we'll be returning that $40 back to the fund. The county auto purchases, $100,000. There's a PO to Ray Varner Ford, but we haven't received any vehicles yet or paid for anything. Blockhouse Valley Recycling Center has two for $56,500 and $14,000 for a recycling center. Both POs are in place. Estimated completion April of 2025. The dental clinic redesign, building improvements, $604,000. Contract is in place. Completion possibly September of 2025. Senior Center badge system, $10,888. The contract's in place. Completion March of 2025. The IT infrastructure, this is one that's been going on for over the years, and we still have $28,073 left. We are currently paying a monthly bill for the MFA, like $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and we'll continue that till that funding where it runs out. EMS ambulances, the first time we contributed $1.3 million. He spent $500,011 so far. 4 remaining on order. 2 should be here in September of 25 and July of 26 delivery. This is a very slow process getting these ambulances, and I am kind of concerned that, with the 12/31/26 date, when we have to have all this money spent, that those, I think we'll make it, but it's going to be really close for the ambulances. And also we committed more funding for ambulances in $422,819, but those were for remounts, and I do think they'll be here in time. Sheriff vehicles, $571,962 on order, but no bill date yet. And the last one is the TDEC ARP water infrastructure investment. Our matching funds are $379,514, which we've expended $213,074 to date. And that's the subcontract with Anderson County Water Authority.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That last item, what is being worked on? What water lines?
The mayor could probably explain this better than me with the TDEC. I'm not sure it's a water line. It might be a tower, one of those towers to store water in, possibly.
Yeah, there are multiple parts to that particular project. I'd have to refresh my memory. One of those is for the north end of Anderson County with all the growth, water pressure issues, is the construction of a huge new water tower that holds water. Then there's some other smaller projects in there. I can send a list of those out I just can't recall off the top of my head.
Thank you, Mayor. Robbie, when there's expenditures like this, shouldn't those go through the Financial Management Committee? Shouldn't, when there's expenditures like this, go through the Financial Management Committee, the 1981 committee, and review those expenditures? I mean, I feel like we're getting into an area that we're kind of skipping the Financial Management Committee, and we're just not running. Go ahead, Officer.
No, I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead. No,
You can. We have the option of using the Financial Management Committee for that purpose, but we also have a resolution establishing a budget committee that's their purpose. So I don't think we need to take it to both committees. Well, the budget committee passes where budget amendments are passed, and then through this committee.
Well, I think it gets back to Commissioner McCamey's comment when all this kind of started, and I agree with him, is when you have 8 commissioners that make a decision for the whole county on the budget committee, and 5 of them can block or pass something, and the other commissioners have no say-so, because one of the rules is you can't bring it back up again if it failed in budget committee. So I think with the 1981 Act, we could actually have all commissioners serve as the budget committee, and then they bring it back to the Financial Management Committee for approval. Now, people on the budget committee might not like that process, but I think that should be the proper process. But I'm not here to debate it. Let's just move on. I'll chase that rabbit in other committees like I'm supposed to. So I'd like to get more information on what the mayor just said, where those funds are being expended, which water lines, water towers. I want to know what it's being spent on, and I want to know what areas it's going to. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We are the subcontractor with Anderson County Water Authority, and this committee did pass through vote to, all our funds are as matching funds. This was the extra ARP funds given to different water authorities. We gave the cities certain portions, and ACWA got the remaining, the bigger portion. So we're only the subcontractor for this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And along the same lines, as I remember when we had a grant, CDBG grant, and we're going to do water lines for Lovely Bluff area, Savage Garden, and all that, and then we came back and gave some more funds out of ARP because it went up. Well, I found out today that Lovely Bluff and Savage Garden not in the plan anymore because they didn't have enough money. So it's gone to Hines Creek. So I supported that and told, the people in my district that we're going to get some water, and Commissioner Val and I talked about it, and we just about had water everywhere but one area in New River. But now I found out, that we supported this, and now we don't have enough money to do Savage Garden and the Lovely Bluff area, and it's going to Hines Creek. So I was at a loss because I always thought that that's what, that's where the money was going to. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I had just found that out today.
I haven't heard that.
So on the CDBG grant, it did have multiple areas. Hines Creek was always in there, Savage Garden, right. Lovely Bluff, Judson Lane. What happened, there was originally ARP funds set aside, and Commission reallocated those because the CDBG, when we went to bid on the CDBG grant, it came in just so excessively more than the grant amount.
That's correct.
I mean, more than we even originally thought. So we had put aside $400,000 of ARP dollars, thinking that would meet the requirement, and that dwarfed what the actual need is. Yeah. So the project was scaled down again. So first of all, the Savage Garden, when they got into it, they quickly discovered there was no way it was going to be able to be covered by that CDBG because of the rock.
It's all rock.
Yes, and so that was while that was whittled down. They're currently working on a request for the state to try to rebid again. This was bid a second time, and we got 0 bids on it. And so this last portion is actually working with Hallsdale Powell. They would actually be, there's nothing left for ACWA. I mean, when all of this started, it was I think maybe $565,000 from the state of Tennessee. And with everything that has happened with infrastructure, water lines, the cost of pipe, construction costs, I mean, it's just really not covering anything. We would love to get it wrapped up, and then we can always apply again to go back to those other areas. It's been very frustrating with the escalation of costs.
Well, my comments is I think they
Yeah.
gave it towards ACWA because I have an excellent relationship with them. And they always answer the phone and will work with me anyway. I wasn't aware that the things that I thought we had approved the money for, that it was scaled back.
Yeah.
And so I guess, going forward, maybe I'll start going more to the ACWA meetings.
Yeah, and sometimes I will report on this, but, some of these have been going on so long, we just forget. It's kind of like the ARP, when those funds, when we were looking at allocating and giving those funds out to the Water Authority, and also we gave some to the City of Norris and to Oliver Springs, Rocky Top, Clinton. When we were doing that, ACWA actually came to county government and said, this is how we would like to use our funds. And so they did appear, and then full commission voted on that. So, but, by the time you get in place, all the processes, all of that everything had to be approved by TDEC, and it goes through their whole system with ARP. And by the time we get to construction, that's why I'm saying I've got to go and brush back up on what those areas are.
I just wish if we'd needed 4 times the money to get it done, like we told the people, and we said in public it was going to happen. We all voted to make it happen.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Well, also on this ARPA list, you can see at the bottom the CDB water line project. We had those funds committed since August of 2022. We went down to our last month before we uncommitted those funds.
Yeah.
We had a decision to make. Okay, we're going to lose $450,000 because we know we can't do this project. So we had to make a decision to move the money to a different project before we had to have those funds committed by a certain date, or we didn't. We would have to turn them back in. So.
All right, Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Wandell's already said we probably don't want to use too much more time tonight, but while it's fresh on my mind, I'd like to make a suggestion. He's got a very good point. I think Campbell County's budget committee is their full county commission, and I've seen them adjourn a budget committee meeting and go right into the county commission meeting and vote on stuff. Certainly, if we wanted to consider that, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. The idea that the budget committee, if it fails there, full commission doesn't see it, I guess to an extent that's correct. However, I don't hear the same concerns when we talk about our operations committee. I don't know how many times something has failed in operations and then come before commission. It could have, and I missed it. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. Or my standby solution to the problem is we just quit having committees, and we have one county commission meeting one day a month, and we start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we go until all the business is done. We could always do that if we don't want to utilize the committee process. But as long as we are utilizing the committee process, I think it's very important to let the committees do the heavy lifting and trust that if something died in budget, there was probably a good reason it didn't come before full commission. If it died in operations, there's probably a good reason why it didn't come in front of full commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and just a point of clarification, the rules do allow any matter to come before this body with a certain number of votes to get onto the agenda. So if it's a failed motion out of committee, or if it's just in, we've heard something tonight that just sparks the need, then there are things in the rules that will allow. It just doesn't automatically, for example, when Commissioner Isbell's reading his motions out of operations, those motions are just not read as approved motions. But if there's anything that wants to be added to the agenda that doesn't make it out of committee, this body can certainly do that. Commissioner Capshaw, you're recognized.
Okay, I'm moving real quick. So I was answering Commissioner Wandale's question about where it was going, so I looked it up, and I'm in, I always keep links on stuff. Tennessee Town and City publication, it came out in February of this year. This is Anderson County. Now, I think the number is off because it's got $3,795,000 listed, but it says Anderson County will use ARP funds to develop an asset management plan and address critical needs in the Anderson County Water Authority's wastewater system. Projects include the installation of a new water storage tank and a new water treatment plant pump, and will also rehabilitate the Park Road Booster Pump Station and replace galvanized and asbestos cement water lines. So I was just had that to clarify.
Thank you, Commissioner Capshaw. That's good.
County Water Authority meets tomorrow night at 5, if anybody wants to go.
All right, that's plenty of time before the UT game. Before I get something thrown at me, I'm going to take a 7-minute recess.
I'm fine with that.
So we're going to stand recess for. Please come back at 8:22. All right, we will.
Cindy's here. Robbie, welcome back.
Thank you.
Jerry's desk looks pretty clean. I'm not sure if he's coming back.
They're coming.
So Sabra, all right. I'm going to give them about 30 more seconds.
Me?
I heard him say it.
You know how we name buildings after people? I'm going to start naming our breaks after
If you give me a smoking hunt, I'd really
the Marlboro Center by Sabre Beauchamp.
love it, especially on those mornings.
All right. All right. Robbie, moving into purchasing report.
Okay. So under the purchasing report, we had 7 contracts all approved for legal review, seeking approval as a group.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is this as a group, Commissioner Foster? All right. We have a motion and a second to approve as a group. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right. Seeing none, please go to the board and vote. All right, motion carries.
Okay, and we had 1 surplus vehicle sale. Winning bid was $4,272. I don't need any action. It's just information only. Moving into the appropriations, there were 4 for the school department, 5, 6, 7, and 8, seeking approval as a group. Be happy to answer any questions, and Dr. Parrott is here as well.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Beauchamp to approve as a group. Are there any questions or discussion on this motion? All right. Seeing none, please go to the board and vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. And there was 1 transfer from the school department fund 143 school nutrition program for $126,108.36 through payroll.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Beauchamp, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Is there any questions or discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, please go to the board and vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Under Group 6, appropriations non-school, there are 11 of those, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18, 22, 23, 24, and 27. Seeking approval as a group. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Smallridge, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion on those items and on the motion? All right, seeing none, go to the board and vote, please. Motion carries.
Thank you. Group 7 appropriations, these affect the general fund unassigned fund balance. There are 3 of those, 17, 19, and 20. With the biggest one, the $536,587, it's moving money from the unassigned. It's the appropriation we do every year for the rollover. 20% of the rollover goes into the unassigned, the assigned code that we have that's got 4.4 million. So this will move another $536,587 into that code.
Okay. All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Foster. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, go to the board and vote, please. Motion carries.
Thank you. Group 8 transfers, non-school, there are 4 of those, all through payroll. Seeking approval as a group.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Beauchamp and seconded by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, go to the board and vote. Motion carries.
Okay. Under Group 9 miscellaneous, the first action, Section A, the election administrator, Mark Stevens, and the election commission office all came to the budget committee. There was no action taken. There was discussion, though. Section B, the veterans officer, for commission meeting referral, Commissioner Palmer and Commissioner Allen seconded to consider a pay increase as part of the normal annual budgeting process. That motion passed. I don't know if we need to take that up here.
Commissioner Wandale, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jamie, could you help me out? Because I just want to make sure I'm understanding this stuff correctly. It says veterans officer pay increase. Motion passed. Does that mean the pay increase passed, or does that mean the motion to potentially pass the increase passed? I'm just trying to understand completely, because the way I read that and the way I interpret it, it says veterans officer pay increase. Motion passed.
Commissioner, I'm looking at it, I'm reading it right now.
Well, if you could check into it,
Yeah.
I think we got to have more clarification when we put these things together. I think the intent, from what I understood, was to have the veterans officer come back and present his budget. But I guess my concern is if he comes back to the budget and then, for whatever reason, budget people say he doesn't need an increase because his secretary got a increase. I want to be able to know that he's in fact going to get his budget increase.
I'll get you an answer, Commissioner. It looks to me like the way I read it, off the cuff, is they considered the 20% pay increase, and the motion was to take it up as part of the budget process. That's the way I read it, but I will certainly check into it for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And
Yes,
that's
sir.
how the minutes clearly say. That is how it was put on the agenda, in the budget agenda, which is how we put it on the commission agenda. There was a motion that passed, which is the motion that I read earlier, and this is the third time we have entertained this motion in the budget committee, as well as 3 times in commission now. So, and it's failed every time.
Well, actually, it passed the first time on the consent agenda.
Which nobody knew.
Then we
was
had
on
to
there.
take it back and do away with it through budget, send it back to here, and then do all that other fun stuff. So at
All
some
right.
point, maybe it'll pass.
Commissioner Val, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Tracy's point, and he's got a valid point, that is confusing. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that's on the Rules Committee or our parliamentarian or our parliamentarian emeritus, whichever one, but there probably wasn't even a vote required if we were just going to consider it during the normal budget process. I don't think that would have required a vote. I think what Commissioner Palmer was trying to do was just give some clarity to the Veterans Affairs officer, is that we're not totally saying no at this point. We just want to bring it up. So we probably do need to be a little more clear on those decisions, so that when it comes to the documentation in the minutes, everybody knows. So.
I don't know how even more clear this motion can be. I apologize.
Well, I mean, we probably didn't
I'm
need a
reading it. It
motion at
sounds
all,
pretty
I
clear to
guess,
me.
is the point I was trying to make. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All righty. So no action on that. So what's
Section C, there was no action with the property assessor. The proceeds from the sale of the properties, Mayor Frank requested that upon closure of all the sales from the January 15th, 2025 auction, the finance director be authorized to move net revenues of sale into assigned fund 101-34785. That motion was passed by Commissioner Beauchamp, seconded by Commissioner Vandegrift to authorize, and the motion passed. Today, I did a total. We've made $380,150 so far off all the sales. We've paid $115,534 back to clerk and master and trustee in taxes. So for a total of $262,616 is the remaining revenue. I don't think we've collected for all the.
I think we have 3 more properties.
Bless you.
He's asking what is that fund?
Oh, that's that assigned fund we have been building with the rollover money, as well as the mayor requested this money roll into that, or be moved to that fund. Capital projects. Yes, sir.
All right.
Sorry, I should have been more clear.
All right. Is there a motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Foster, seconded by Commissioner Capshaw, and that's to appropriate any funds coming in to go into that code, correct?
Yes.
All right. All right. Seeing no discussion, please go to the board and vote. (13 yes, 1 abstention). Motion passes.
Okay, and the second part of the mayor's section was to include the fire truck resolution in the budget process. No action was taken, but was noted that we would include that in the budget process. The budget calendar and guidelines were approved by the committee with a motion by Commissioner Beauchamp and seconded by Commissioner Vandergrift. I don't need any action on that as well. And the fire commission secretary, that motion was approved under budget amendment number 27 in appropriations for the county.
All right.
And that's all I have.
So you got? All right. Thank you, Robbie. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Robbie, I missed you. I apologize on this 24-25 grant inventory for Anderson County.
Yes, sir.
I know I sent you an email earlier today, but I would like to get a breakdown on the CDBG water lines, the $523,207. I'd also like to get a breakdown on the water infrastructure investment plan that Commissioner Capshaw was talking about a minute ago, WIIP, $3,795,149. $3,795,149. If you could get me a breakdown of those funds, when they were received, I know you got it listed here, when they received and how they've been dispersed and what projects they're being placed on. I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, Commissioner Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give accolades to our budget committee. I think they do a really good job, and I know they ask some tough questions, and sometimes they may ask some questions that's unsettling to some, but they're doing a good job, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Agreed.
All right. We will go to Dr. Parrott.
Thank you, Chairman Mays. Just a little update. That bid on the school come in at $28,474,000, and we've been meeting with Merritt Construction Company, and there's some different things that they can take out, they can change. They've got some different vendors that they can use. It's the same equipment and everything, and we believe now that when we get ready to do the contract, it'll be $27,674,000, about $800,000 less. So there was a retaining wall in the back that one of the engineers had put a retaining wall, and then their engineers got in. They got with their engineers, and they believe because we own so much land, we can stair step that back, and that one thing saves us about $300,000. So we're excited about that. We still got a little work to do. I was glad to see you're on Planning Commission because they had one of the commissions. They didn't have enough people there to have a quorum, so we got to wait another month before we get the final plot approval or something like that. So hopefully we'll get it next month.
Commissioner Wandell, do you have a question about the school, or do you want to wait?
School.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Perry, if there's companies in the county that want to do business with Merritt, how could they go about that?
They just need to get with Merritt. The person that's doing all the grade work and everything, they're in Anderson County.
Mm-hmm. Somebody wanted to supply windows or doors or siding or
Yep.
roof tiles or whatever, lights. I mean, they just get with some.
Yeah. Now there's different things like the roofing company. It was in the bid. They had to specify who the roofing company was and everything. The roofing company is Dixie Roofing.
Okay.
And so there's some of that stuff, but no, they more than help to get with them about that.
Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Perry. Thank you, Chair.
That's a good question.
The other thing is we'll be working on a groundbreaking, and we'll make sure that we want to invite you all because you are a big part of that when we get ready to do that. So we really, when I met with the MBI on last Friday, it's probably sometime around the middle of March. We want to have everything in place before we get ready to do that, but
still 672 days on that, so we hope it'll be finished sometime around February or March of 27, so that'll give us some time to move out. And that 27,674, that also has $1 million contingency in it, so we're hoping that if we've done a good job on our everything up front, we'll have a little bit of that money left over. So anyway, another thing is there's a public meeting that's going to be on March the 6th from 4 to 7:30 at Claxton Elementary School, and that's on the RS 170 road. I guess, that's on that 4-lane that's going down through there, so just kind of letting you all know about those things. The other thing is we had the school board had their yearly board retreat last week. We call it a board retreat. It's at central office. We just meet from 3 to 9. It's one of those things, but we do get to eat. But they went over budget. We went over capital projects and a lot of that stuff. There's some different kind of priorities they have for capital projects, so I'll be updating that list. The other thing that I've asked Chairman Mays to kind of indulge me for just a minute, but one of the things we have every year at our school is we have a theme. And so this year's theme is making every day count. And so it was corny, I know, but I came up with it. But anyway, no. It says every day is an opportunity to add value in a student's life. This penny represents one school day in the life of a child. Thank you for making this day count. And so our principals get to pick somebody, and I get to pick somebody. So I wanted to kind of do it a little special. So this one, Mayor Frank, if you'll come up here. This one says, Mayor Frank, thank you for your dedication to Anderson County Schools and for making every day count for our students and our staff. Your actions don't go unnoticed. Oh, wow. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you. And so we get it. So the shirt says, making every day count. And so, I love it. Thank you for that. And she does a lot of work, and I know sometimes she's busy, and she gets a lot of things, but helping us with the nuclear stuff, and anytime the governor has a budget comes out, she calls and says, hey, how can I help, and do those things. So I really appreciate her support on the school system.
All right.
Yep.
I wear a 3X, Tim.
Never get awards. I think this is my first award.
I don't have one of those shirts. Somebody give me one. So
Awesome.
Yep.
3X, Tim.
Okay.
Commissioner Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate all that you do for the schools. One of the things that is important to me is that we're having, companies come and employment will, look very, very good for our county. Mm-hmm. And I think that I would like to have a report that would tell us what you're doing to improve some schools. You're quite aware that the Tennessee Board of Education, they give each school a grade.
Yes, letter grade.
Yeah, letter grade.
Yep.
And some of the letter grades are not very good.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Thank you, sir. And so we do have some good schools. We have Norris Elementary School and Norwood. They improved. One went from a D to a C, and one went from a D to a B. And you guys recognize those schools. However, we do have some schools that are they have a letter grade of a D. Just to name those, Briceville, Clinton Middle School has a D, Lakewood Elementary, Lake City Middle School. Those aren't good grades, are they?
Nope.
Yeah, so I do like the fact that we have these capital projects, but I do think that schools, they should produce something, and that is a great students. We do have people who are moving to Anderson County. They look at the Tennessee Board of Education website, and they look at those grades. So is there a way that you could look at these schools that have a D grade and tell us what you're doing to improve that. Okay, the capital or the money, that's fine, but we do have to find a way to increase or improve the academic performance of schools.
I can tell you, I can give you a report if you want to. I don't know how much time you got,
Right.
but I can tell you for instance, Briceville Elementary School. Briceville Elementary School had one teacher that didn't do a good job. Yes. And so when that teacher does math for 4th and 5th grade, and they don't do a good job, then that hurts that school. That's the exact reason that went down. We got rid of that teacher. It's one of those things. If you look at Clinton Middle School, we lost about 6 teachers last year. And teachers are hard to, we end up losing about 15 to 25 teachers every year to counties around us because they pay a lot more money than we do. And so just one example there, we had three teachers that put in for an English position at Clinton Middle School. The first one had a felony charge.
Excuse me?
Felony charge.
Okay.
Okay. The next one had a gun tattoo of a machine gun that had a DUI. And the third one was working on their teaching license but didn't have a teaching license, so they were a new school.
Yeah.
I can tell you which one we hired, the one that didn't have the teaching license. Okay, so when you lose people like that, but I will say this, that is a grade of 1 day of 1 class. And so when you look at overall, our graduation rate is above the state average. We have 5 reward schools.
That's true.
The other thing too is one of the things we look at is our ready graduate. So a ready graduate either has a 21 on their ACT, they have at least 6 dual enrollment credits, they have or they made a 3.5 on the ASVAB. So if you look in 24, we were at 41%. Yeah. In 23, we were at 41%. Last year, we were at 61%. So we increased that 20%. But now I agree 100%.
But do you agree that, well, what I'm asking is that you talk about what you're doing to improve these things. That would be helpful to me, maybe not the other commissioner, but for me, my background and what I have a passion about, something that would say, Commissioner Allen, we're working on the problem at Clinton Middle School.
I would rather us come
if
and
we
get
could
together.
probably push this, we could talk about this until cows come home.
I'm more than happy to talk about it, and we have plans. We do all of that stuff, everything. So if you would, why don't we set up a meeting? You come and we'll sit down and we can go over every school with you. How would that work?
That would work fine. I still would like to have something here on a continuous basis to let us know how things are going.
All right, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Commissioner McCamey.
You mentioned the meeting about the 4-lane.
Yes.
You said March 6th, 4:30 to 7:30?
Yes.
And where is it going to be?
It's at Claxton Elementary School gym.
That's okay.
Yeah, those postcards came out today.
Yep.
Well, I got it today.
Yep.
Commissioner Anderson.
I know we want to move on, so I'll be quick. I just want to say those letter grades really need to have more context, because I know like Campbell County, half the kids are raised by somebody that's not their parents, and it's probably not much of a difference here in Anderson County. So if they see their parents get arrested or their big brother get arrested the night before, they're going to be a bad test taker that next day. And there's just a lot of, it's more complicated than an A, B, C, D grade.
Well, when you see Norris Middle School is a C school, but they're one of the top academic performers in the state, there's something wrong with a grade like that.
Right.
But I'll bring you a report.
Why would these grades be on the website if they're
Well, we're not, Commissioner Allen, we're not going to, that'd be a question for the state. We're getting way offline here. Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know we're trying to move on like Commissioner Anderson said, but I was going to echo what he said as well. It's not, I know the letter grade's there, I'm not denying that, but I don't think it tells the whole picture. When you meet with Dr. Parrott and he goes over each school, I think that's a great thing, and I appreciate you willing to do that, Dr. Parrott. I'll take it a step further. Go to the Briceville Elementary School. Go to the Lake City Middle School. See how it's not just reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's teaching those kids about life, especially some that come from impoverished neighborhoods who have hard lives, who came up the hard way, and see how much the teachers are dedicated to those kids and to those students. I wish we had a letter for that they graded on.
Yeah. All right. Dr. Parrott?
Thank you. Thank you,
It
Chair.
was a little bit longer indulgement than you bargained for. All right. Thank you, though. Good report. Law Director.
All right. Caught me a little off guard there. Okay, you can see we've had a busy month. Short month, but a busy month. You can see contracts, zoning, we've actually closed, I'm going to say 5 now and opened 4, so we're one ahead there. In addition to what you see that was newly filed, I signed a complaint for one that was filed today, and we'll be filing another one tomorrow. One is Andersonville, and the other is up in Briceville, I believe.
All right.
We've I'm just looking at it. Pretty much the rest of the stuff to do with zoning is just status. They're in court. They're at various stages. Some have been just served. Some have gotten all the way to the lien part, which means we're done with them. And then you can see there are several, 5 that I believe zoning is waiting on bids for. The bankruptcies, and we're simply reporting those which just have to do with the property taxes. Other. The resolution 25011199, which is part of the packet, both Robbie Holbrook and Johnny, I guess, could have presented, but they asked me to. So we've attached it to our report. Essentially what is, they have funds from year to year that are left over that they would like to roll into either an audit fund or their legal, I'm going to call it a legal defense fund, but it's what they use to pay for defending or prosecuting tax appeals. Of course, the money's there, doesn't mean it can be spent. It still has to come back through commission and be approved. But that's what that resolution is all about. We have also, and I think Bryce is here if I need him, we prepared a release for CERT, which is the Community Emergency Response Team. That may be more for edification than anything, but that will be used by anyone that signs up for CERT training and then continues on as a CERT volunteer. And then finally, I believe there's be a transfer of an old hazmat truck from Clinton or from Anderson County to Oak Ridge, and I believe that request is in the packet as well. That is something that doesn't involve any money. It's just basically an agreement to transfer the truck to Oak Ridge, and then an agreement from Oak Ridge to assist Anderson County when needed.
So the resolution, and then does the CERT need board approval?
I don't think so. I think it's more for.
But the memorandum would. So those 2 items you're looking
that's
for.
it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we've got 2 action items here. Is there a motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Varon, second by Commissioner Beauchamp. Is it for both items, sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
That would bring us to the litigation updates. Looking at to see if there's been any developments on any of them. Provision, that's probably the one that's had more activity than anything. They have an attorney now. Most of you will remember we could not determine for sure when the statute of limitations would run on the claim by the Sheriff's Department. So we picked the earliest date that we knew it could run and put together and filed a complaint. And I indicated at that time or thought anyway that, this is a bare bones pleading. We're getting the claims there in front of the court, but we're going to need to amend the complaint. And that's exactly what the motion to dismiss is all about. It's not been set. We're in the process of drafting an amended complaint with a motion to go with it to get more detail, and that's where that one is. I think the only other development would be number 6, where Mr. Mara, I believe, has now obtained counsel, and that case is moving along up in Greene County. It's my understanding the attorney provided by the trust that the insurance company is going to file a motion for summary judgment. And of course, the big item, which is Ogle versus Anderson County, we're going to take that up in executive session because we have some things to talk about there.
All right. Any other questions for the law director before we move to operations? All right, seeing none. Commissioner Isbell.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to go into executive session first, or we're going to do that
I
at
would,
the end?
if we could go ahead and knock these out, and then we
Oh,
could
yeah,
go. So
I'm fine. I just wanted to make sure.
yes, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under the mayor's report, Commissioner McCamey made a motion to approve resolution number 01-21-1196, stormwater management and pollution control resolution of Anderson County. Seconded by Commissioner Foster. Motion passed forward to full commission for a recommendation for approval.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner McCamey, and we got a second by Commissioner Varon. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Foster made a motion to approve changing room assignments due to a change in law that mandates electronic monitoring of individuals and notice to victims for the following: bailiffs from room 121 to room 103, trustee tax freeze from room 119 to room 121, pretrial release from room 102 to room 119. Seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Motion passed unanimous to forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Under the Law Director report, Commissioner Foster made a motion for the Law Director to bring his report to this committee before taking it to full commission. Seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Motion passed unanimous to forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Foster made a motion for the Law Director to look into the statutory committees and the resolution committees with an eye toward what can be consolidated, what can be streamlined, and what can't be touched. Seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Foster, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Wandell, you're recognized.
Roll call vote.
Yes, sir. All right. Is there any discussion on the motion? Is that all you had, Commissioner?
That's it.
Okay. Seeing none, go Commissioner Val.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, got it in right into the
Yeah.
buzzer. I'm going to vote yes on this. I think it's a good idea, but I would also like to request that time pending doing all of this research, I certainly understand the law director's office is busy, but to actually do some historical research to find out what the reasoning was that each committee was created, if it's just by local resolution, what was going on at the time that this body felt we need to create this committee, and certainly if those reasons don't exist anymore, then yeah, absolutely, it's just good common sense. But I just want to warn the board not to just hastily start eliminating committees and then realize, oh, wait a minute, yeah, the same reason we had back then may still exist today. But I'm in support of this. I think it needs to be done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Foster.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the whole reason to have him look at this. We talked about some of this at the strategic planning, just kind of looking at how we can be more streamlined, and but didn't want to take any motions out of that the workshop. So brought it up at operations, but it just some of the things that we have a legislative committee, interlocal government committee. Can those be one committee? So just looking at that, I think Commissioner Val makes a great point of saying, hey, some of these might have been established for a certain purpose, and now that purpose is no longer here. So I appreciate the law director looking at this for us and just kind of seeing, like as we know, some of them are statutory that we can't touch, but just trying to be able to be more efficient for our citizens.
All right. Commissioner Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, I voted yes to get it out of committee, but I don't agree with it, because the reason why is we have certain committees like intergovernmental. And how we had set up intergovernmental, we had 2 and 3 hour meetings, and what was the result, Commissioner Wandale?
Cleaning up American nuclear.
Okay. And when you have these small committees, sometimes that's what you're there for, and you're focused on one item. And that's why it was set up. And, you know, if you're going to, there's maybe 1 or 2 you might put in, but legislative, his stands alone, because we've had some long legislative committees. And then when you come and you got everything packed in, it's not going to get all the concern that it should. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
Yes, sir. All right. Seeing no other requests to speak, we will go to the board and vote. Eight yes, 6, it does not pass. Motion fails. All right. Commissioner Isbell.
Let's see where I was at. We're not going to take up the animal shelter oversight, so we'll go to Commissioner Capshaw. Made a motion to send a letter of support to state representatives requesting to release grant funds for Atomic Elks Lodge Community Project, seconded by Commissioner Varon. Motion passed unanimously to forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we have a motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Capshaw. Is there any question on this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That needs to be in the motion, don't it?
I mean, if it passes the body, I'm happy to write it. I'm happy to write it. Yeah, we'll tag team it. All right. All right.
We got just the announcements. We had Marlow Volunteer Fire Department Chili Supper. It was February 22nd. It was pretty well attended. We got the Medford Volunteer Fire Department Chili Supper. It's March the 8th. Fire Department study is March the 12th at 4:30, room 118A. And I just want to recognize Cindy Bowshears that she's here with Congressman Fleischman's office.
Hey, Cindy.
And that concludes the Operations Committee report, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Wandell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you said earlier you could bring up any kind of thing you want during committees, even if it had passed or not passed, but I thought it'd be best to bring it up here because it'll probably go to operations, I reckon. But I'd like to make a motion to have us apply for the WIIN Small Underserved Disadvantaged Communities Grant, which is to help get water to the northern end of the county from New River on up to the neck of the woods that those fellows out there are sitting. And if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that motion.
Did you say WIIN?
It is the WIIN Small Underserved Disadvantaged Communities Grant. And Ms. Boshears, we have a couple of gentlemen sitting on the front row that have some major issues with water up there that I think just and these guys have been working on it in the mayor too for a long time, but they got, I think when them oil wells and gas wells are up there, it caused some issues. So we need to figure out a way to take care of them, and if Congressman Fleischman can help us in any way, we sure appreciate it. But we contacted the state, and this is a grant we could start with, and I'll be at the Anderson County Water Authority meeting tomorrow myself and see if we can start this thing going. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to co-champion that motion with Commissioner Wandale. But also, one of the reasons why we have such bad water over there is because of the mining and that's went on in previous years. And there was a coal severance tax, a great deal that came from that area, and it was never reinvested in that area. So I think that's something to take into account when we're looking at that. Thank you again for letting me speak.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Rules Committee, Commissioner Smallridge.
Rules Committee met February 10th. We don't have any action items. We didn't take any action on that meeting. We're still following up with some legal questions with the help of the law director. So, and we'll be meeting again in March.
Thank you, sir. All right, Fire Commission report, Chairman Wandell. Fire Commission.
Oh, sorry, he done already? Jeez, good job there, Chairman Smallridge. I apologize, I'm over here slacking. Yeah, well, I was talking about water. You got the Fire Commission report before you. There's just, we already addressed the secretary pay. Law director worked on that. It'll just be, I think, $1,200 a year, nothing major. We passed that, a year and a half ago, it seems like, but we're getting all of it buttoned up. The one item I wanted to read out to y'all for your information was there was a motion kind of along the lines the mayor was talking about the county fire funding 2025-2026 budget. There's a motion by Chief Bailey and seconded by Chief Lane to request capital funds of a minimum or a maximum of $1 million and a minimum of $715,000 to be split between all municipalities and fire departments. Now they're not saying you have to, that's just something they wanted this body and budget to know that would make them whole, so where they can take those funds, 75,000 or whatever their number is, and go out and acquire. There's several of them that need trucks, Marlowe for one. So anyway, that's just information for you guys to take a look at. I'm just going to submit the report. Just because I'm submitting the report does not mean that motion passes and you have to fund anything, unless you see differently, Mr. Chairman.
I think if that's the will of the body, then we're just passing the minutes, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
So I make a motion to pass the minutes as presented.
All right. We've got
informational only.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Wandell to pass the Fire Commission minutes, seconded by Commissioner Isbell. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. If you have announcements, email them. I'm teasing. Do I entertain a motion to adjourn? Commissioner Wandell, sorry. No, golly bum. Commissioner Isbell, you're right. I was wondering why Jamie's face got so red. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just got a couple items here. One, I'd like to see if we can get information on the animal shelter cameras that were passed a few years ago. Mayor, if you could just send me an email or something. I don't know whatever happened to the cameras, if they ever got put in. I know we allotted the money. But I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to submit to the minutes the email from Mayor Frank dated Monday, March 11th, 2024, and I'd like to put it in the minutes. That'll be my motion.
All right. Commissioner, well, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, I have another item, so you may want to go ahead on this.
All right.
I just have a quick new business item.
Well,
Yep.
we'll come back to you. All right. So the email, is this the email you referenced, Commissioner, during?
Yes, this is an email from the mayor, and it refers to the animal control and care background, and it's on her letterhead here. And it talks about her recommendation for a animal shelter task force and an advisory board, or no task force advisory board, and her recommendations on how that should be looked. So I'd like to just have it entered into the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
And that's the one you emailed, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a copy to submit to the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, can we put in there, please, what the context of that email was? So there's not just a blank email in there. As you know, I was out of town, and there was an item added to the agenda. And so it would be nice if there were some context for what that email was about. So.
Mr. Chairman, she wrote the email.
Yeah, yes, correct. And it was in March of 2024, and it was when an oversight committee was on the operations agenda. And so if we could just put that context in there, maybe those minutes or something from the operations committee along with that, so that there's context to the understanding.
I'm happy to add the
minutes from the
Yeah.
operations meeting as well, Mr. Chairman, no problem.
All right. Mayor, is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Commissioner Varon, second, thumbs up. Any other discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I do have one more question.
Yes, sir.
Is
Yes, ma'am,
this
sorry.
under Robert's Rules of Order? I mean, we just put emails in minutes of a meeting of the legislative body?
I mean,
I guess I can just bring a lot of emails to add to the, I'm not understanding the purpose, the intent, and what's really appropriate under, I have no issue with it. I mean,
I mean, to answer your procedural question, I hate shooting from the hip, but I don't think that it would be, with it being a public document and not a member of, and not any, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, and again, I'm working just from what I think, and Robert may know, but I don't think that it is inappropriate to place in the minutes. So, I mean, I know it's not something we commonly do, but I don't think that the motion to do this would be out of order or inappropriate. So.
I guess I'm just trying to understand more for going forward. Is this something we can just enter into the minutes, various emails? So just trying to understand, because every time we start something new, I just kind of want to understand the guardrails.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, whether we've done it before or not, I would say that it is not, I don't think there would be a rule against it to do it. Whether we keep doing it or not, that's a different issue. But
okay.
As it stands tonight, I think that Commissioner Wandell's motion would be appropriate in terms of under our procedures, under Robert rules.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor of the motion signify.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like a board vote, please.
Okay. Hold on. We will go to the board and vote. You guys, you good? All right, please go to the board and vote. Ten yes, 4 no, motion passes. All right. Commissioner Smallridge.
If it's appropriate, I'd like to have Operations Committee look at options for greater citizen involvement at the shelter. You know, I know we voted down the one tonight, but looking at maybe some different ways of getting that input, and also receiving regular reports from the mayor, maybe monthly or bi-monthly, on what's happening at the shelter, what the problems and issues might be, and what progress we're making.
All right.
I'd like Operations to consider that, if that's the proper place for it.
I'm sure they. All right, thank you. All right, do we have a motion to enter into executive session? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Folks in the audience, what that means is executive session is now where the commission meets with their attorney and shut off the TV and
us back into regular session.
To bring us back into regular session, we have a second by Commissioner Beer. Is there any, let's see, any debate on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Commissioner McCamey has a motion. Do you want to?
Make a motion to allow the law director to settle the case Ogle versus Anderson County.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner McCamey and seconded by, my apologies, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion on this? Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, should we, just to cover bases, and authorize the finance director to make that payment? I mean, just,
Okay, that's included in, Commissioner McCamey's okay with that being part of his motion, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Is there any other discussion on this motion? Go to the board and vote, please. All right, motion carries. All right, is there any announcements? Yes, sir.
We have a chili supper or buffet auction at Medford on March 8th, isn't it? March 8th, and it's at what church? Clinch River. Just encourage everybody to come out if you can and support the Medford Volunteer Fire Department. I think we might even have an Elvis sighting there. Putting the pressure on them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right, is there a move to adjourn? So moved.
Oh. Man, I saw him on Facebook, and man, I didn't know it was him. I'm telling you. I could when he turned sideways. I said, is that Shane or is it?